And now, from the bowels of the internet, it's the Hey Big Podcast.
Chaos. Joining me as always, the seductive Sainted Magnus.
Hello. I swear your intro gets very, very short. Have you noticed that, people?
Don't point it out, dickhead. The alluring AlphaOmegaSin.
Alluring with my bedroom eyes.
It's a good
and the ravishing Razor Fist.
Ravishing.
Bitches don't know about my ventricular valve prolapse. No,
oh.
I thought it was a cardial infarction.
Cardial infarction.
Anyway, welcome to our show. We got a big show for you today, as we always do. We thank you for joining us. If you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, Jerry Lawler of WWE fame apparently collapsed the other night on Monday Night Raw, and we wish him well, don't we?
Yes.
Sure.
You see how long that took?
God knows that man's had enough, venereal diseases to deal with up until this point. So.
Oh, absolutely. So if he survives this one, he got off easy. But anyway.
Which is strange because normally when you do that much blow, I hear you can't get off.
Right?
Continue.
I can't stress this enough. We thank you for joining into our family-friendly program. We're going to have a discussion right now. We've kind of been hanging off on the discussions a little bit, but Razor Fist had to talk about this, and we decided it was a great idea. So we're talking about a recent development, Ubisoft. You know Ubisoft, purveyors of Rayman and apparently some other stuff. I think. But there's a
series called Assassin's Creed.
Well, if you want to call it a series, okay. Ridding themselves of DRM. For more, we go to Razor Fist, who's just foaming at the mouth. Razor Fist?
Well, basically, Ubisoft was, infamous for this DRM. They were one of the first companies to really institute this restrictive, absurd, slavering DRM that basically requires an always-on connection even for single-player games. This was big-time news back in 2007 when the first Assassin's Creed was released. I believe it was the first title, or first major title at the very least, to have this kind of DRM. If you bought the Steam version, you always had to be connected to the internet at all times with this fucking game. And it's not a multiplayer game. It's pure single player. So if your internet went out, you're fucked. You can't play it. And I'm sure somebody's cracked it by now, obviously. It was back in 2007. Somebody always figures out how to, which, again, bespeaks the futility of fucking restrictive DRM. Anyways, it really was a massive public relations blow. And speaking of blowing, at the end of the day, they just flat out should have canned this a long fucking time ago. So,
somebody mentioned Jade Raymond.
Yeah, speaking of...
No, I was just checking.
No.
Just seems that way,
In the meantime, under Jim Sterling.
Oh.
Under Jim Sterling is a major metropolis.
Yeah. Under Jim, come on now. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of speaks to the futility of DRM and especially really restrictive DRM, and that basically the largest purveyor of this philosophy and the largest defender of this philosophy has now gone the other way and it's saying no, it's not going to be in their games anymore. So
it's about fucking time, I say.
I know.
About fucking time.
Yeah, so somebody call the mayor of Munchkinland, goddammit.
I'm pretty damn pleased to hear about it because the thing is, once you have one big company decide to go ahead with it and institute it into gaming, then all of a sudden every other game company is like, well, if it's working for them, I think that we'll have to follow suit, obviously, and live in their shadow. And they pretty much, if they're doing away with it, I'm hoping that other companies are, again, going to follow suit like the fucking flocked sheep that they are. Hopefully. Here's fingers crossed and everything like that.
I just find it more amazing that something like this was allowed to continue for so long.
Oh,
Five
dude,
years.
seriously, are you really surprised? This entire fucking gaming generation has fucking instituted some of the most absurd shit I've ever seen. And if honestly, if I went back in time and told my past self that all this shit would be going down, I'd be like, haha, you were lying, and that would never happen because they were far too smart to do that. Prove me wrong. Yeah.
Well, I think that all plays into some of the stuff we've said on this podcast in recent weeks and recent months is how much of this shit are people really going to put up with? I really want to know what had to go into this decision being made. Were there like threats from atop high buildings or, you know, things like this, especially from Ubisoft, don't just happen. Do we have any speculation?
I'm just curious if they're actually listening to fans because there's, I mean, somebody out there working at that company has to see a ton of angry letters or a ton of angry fans at some point live somewhere during maybe a convention or something, or just comes across a message board or just gets bored and goes online for shits and giggles and looks up their own product and sees, wow, a ton of people are really pissed off about this one particular thing that we decided to institute, and they're none too happy about it. So maybe we should undo that. And if that is the case, then my hat's off to them. I can't really think of any other reason why they'd really go about just removing it, though, unless it saves them money somehow.
Probably does, because just think of how much fucking money goes into security protocols in a game. Oh, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money.
Dramatic pause to confirm it is in fact a lot of money. Just so
Yes,
everybody
sir, yes.
listening is well aware, we were crunching numbers. It wasn't a weird pause or anything. We're all
No.
mathematicians. We have to double check all of our numbers, and then
Yes.
everybody has to pass around the numbers and make sure. Oh no, harumph, those are correct.
Harumph. You know, I must say before we go any further, it is a lot of money. In fact, I sat here and I was crunching numbers and going through. Now I'm gonna have to use a technical term to describe this. This was a fuck ton of money. Anyway, Razorfist, you were saying?
I was just going to confirm, but anyway.
Oh
yeah.
well, and we
Ding
appreciate
dong, the witch is
confirmation.
dead. Go the fuck away, Ubisoft. Go away.
Well, and you know, I think that this hopefully this is the beginning of the end for such ridiculous policies. Really.
Dude, the main thing that I'm hoping that goes away on is digital games, because oh my gosh, there's quite a few games that I was just like, I'll go and download this just because there isn't a physical copy available and get it, and I have to be connected at all times. Which, you know, many of you out there, if it hasn't sunk into your head right now, you know, it may not seem like a big deal that we're talking about this or even making a fit about it, but once that system, you know, that you're playing on, your 360 or PS3 or Wii or what the fuck ever, once it goes away and it's not supported anymore, you know, once the next console generation is ushered in, which will be pretty fucking soon, and they stop supporting all those servers, then your game does nothing at all. It won't be supported. They could give a fuck less, and they expect you to move on, and they will expect you to go and repurchase everything. Why? Because they're greedy and could give a fuck less about you smiling, being entertained, or happy.
That's assuming they hold on to it. Most of the dumb fucks that listen to this program have already turned it into the GameStop, their local GameStop. So what difference does it make?
And just
Good. Yell Chaos connects on such a unique personal level with our audience.
I try and be a man of the people. I try and be one with the fans. And some of you are fucking retarded.
And kissing, and you know what? When we make live appearances, he's kissing babies, punching cunts. These things happen. He's a very, very jovial fellow.
That's during the day. That's during the day. By night, we bang random slags.
Absolutely. That's
But
why
we do it in a convention showroom. You know, we're classy guys.
Yeah. And we make sure to do it in front of the families, and then we make Christmas cards out of the entire event. It's fantastic for everybody.
Do we fantasize about making the Christmas cards, or do we actually make the Christmas cards?
I think we actually made a card.
I was about to say, I haven't been fantasizing about it. I actually have the Christmas cards ready to go.
Really? Do you use glitter? Do you use glitter on yours?
No, because I think it just makes it look whorish. It makes me think of Bratz dolls, so no.
Oh,
I must say, there is a staggering amount of Bratz games. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think there's a staggering amount of interest in Bratz dolls amongst young girls, and it bewilders me. For everybody listening, if you've ever seen those unholy abominations, they're fucking horrible. They have those gigantic fucking eyes and those big, just filled to the brim with fucking. What the hell do they fill lips up with now?
plumping agent of some description.
Botox?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not ahead of the curve whenever it comes to facial.
Yeah, they use
reconstructive
butt
surgery
fat,
and all
don't they?
Yeah. They use ass fat. Well, kiss
Oh.
my own ass. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the Bratz doll's lips are filled to the brim with ass fat. Their eyes are just abnormally fucking large. Their heads are gigantic, and their bodies do not. They're not exactly fit for a head that gigantic. They should be falling forward all the time. They have Charlie Brown head syndrome, and it's very fucking creepy.
Yeah.
The kids want those.
I will say, Bratz dolls are far more realistic these days if you watch American television than Barbie ever was.
That's a good point, and I'd like the fact
Bratz
that
dolls don't have cars. I think that's what it is.
the Hate Bit podcast has decided to have a conversation about girl dolls. Yes,
Yeah,
little
right.
girls' toys, because that's what we do here.
This way we can go to war against the bronies, I understand.
Ah, so wait, are Bratz dolls against the bronies? I don't know how that'll just be weird, and I'm pretty sure there'll be roll 34 of that at some point. Yep, that's right. I created here. So if any of you find folks, see it somewhere, unfortunately, and you need eye bleach, just realize I'm the reason why it was created, and I'm sorry.
You are the Dr. Frankenstein of that.
I say you don't sound very sorry.
I'm semi sorry.
AlphaOmegaSin doesn't possess the gland that most of us do to feel remorse.
Not particularly. No.
Oh god.
So
But that's a
that
good thing.
You can blame that when the killings begin. Yeah.
Or when your daughters are whores from playing with brats. Anyway. Yeah, so, yeah, digital rights media, it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks.
Not like we got sidetracked or anything. What the fuck are you folks talking
I'm
about?
sure there's lots of Bratz dolls at Ubisoft headquarters. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, and they're the reason why this is all coming to an end. I'm pretty sure we can link this somehow in the news.
We should. Hell, we've
gotta
been
find
reporting
that timeline.
news for how long now? We should start making our own. Bratz dolls are responsible for whores and digital rights management. Fact.
Yeah, if
You
it's
can
ever
put
a
that shit
slow,
on Fox News.
if it's a slow news week, we can go and toss that out there and try to spread the rumor about and see if it'll stick.
Anyway, that was a great discussion. It's time to move into the 8-Bit Cunt Bag. And if you have a question for us here at the 8-Bit Cunt Bag or 8-Bit Podcast, please drop us a line at 8bitpodcast@gmail.com. Also, make sure if you're on the Facebook, which I understand people are kind
Hold
of
on a second.
Wait, what happened?
Were you just channeling Cosby there?
Was I channeling Cosby just then?
If you're on the Facebook, Rudy!
The kids today, they like the rap music.
Here's your uncle. He's a famous jazz musician.
Facebook.com/Jello Pudding Pop.
Yeah. Now, I appreciate that, Razorfish, because that reminds me. This episode of the 8-Bit Podcast is brought to you by Kodak Film. Anyway, if you've got any question, comment, inquiry of any kind, please drop us a line at 8bitpodcast@gmail.com, and also like us on Facebook if you're into the Facebook sort of thing. 8-Bit Podcast on Facebook. And you can also drop us a line right here at YouTube. So we got a piece of...
Sorry, I just had to say that.
Oh, the YouTube. I'm sorry, I forgot you do that sometimes. Anyway, a very nice fellow by the name of Jeffrey drops us a line, and he says, "What's up, fellow cunt lovers?"
Hello, Jeffrey.
What's shaking?
Hey. Jeffrey says, "Did you ever fantasize about making your own game?" Probably yes, because I think it's something every gamer does. So if you guys could make your own type of game, what would it be? Thanks in advance, Jeffrey. Well, that's funny. Is I'm glad he didn't go into great detail because everyone always wants to know this game, this time period, this so on and so forth. Well, what kind of game would you make, Razorfist? What kind of game would you make? Because you always seem to hate everything, so there's got to be something you like.
Yeah, I had for years. I always wanted to make a mech game, like a BattleTech set in the BattleTech universe.
Ooh.
That was you could play in and outside of the mech, and they were two. It was like two games in one kind of, and you could do the whole. You could literally land on planets and explore them. It was kind of like MMO-ish. I was thinking it would be an MMO. That was the way I envisioned it, and it would just be kind of full-on explore. You could literally explore a whole galaxy, flying around to different planets, get in big fucking lance fights, have your own, make your own fucking guilds, and just that to me would be the ultimate goddamn mech game as far as I'm concerned. But I'm a mech head as far as that goes. I love mech games. I've always been a Mech Warrior fan. Whatever. I'm looking forward to Hawken, all that stuff. So that would be mine. Like basically just a mech game without borders is the way I look at it.
Interesting.
What everybody doesn't realize is he has a mech chubby forming right now. We're trying to calm it at the moment, but
It's true.
It's happening.
It's true.
Really, AlphaOmegaSin, what are you doing to calm said chubby?
I'm trying to get pictures of Phyllis Diller, but it's just not working.
No,
You better get a
come on,
fire
I'll go off.
extinguisher at this rate.
Yeah, it's actually having the reverse effect, but it's actually happening to me too. So the room's starting to get kind of weird.
Oh, it's getting weird. Like, have you ever seen a generator about to explode? It's kind of like that.
As the
Saint
electrical
Magnus.
effect.
Yes.
Saint Magnus, what kind of game? You and I were having a discussion a little while back about what game you would like to make. What kind of game do you want to make?
What kind of game do I want to make? I'd actually want to make a simple RPG, as in simple where people can just pick it up and the whole battle system is simple, but it can be tailored in such a way that it can become a very ingenious or complex kind of battle system or RPG. You get what I'm...
You mean where the complexity relies on the player as opposed to the
Exactly.
developer designer?
Exactly.
I mean, you can take from it what you would like to take from it.
Yes.
That's a very intriguing premise.
And
I feel there should be more games just like that. What would you call your game?
I don't know. I've not really thought of a name.
You'd call it Sainted Muffins the game, wouldn't you?
Oh, for God's sake! Will I never live that fucking Sainted Muffins name down?
No, never.
You son of a bitch! He
Well.
put that out on his live stream, and ever since I've not heard the end of it.
That wasn't my fault. That was some prick who listens to the show and is very nice.
Oh well.
No, but I agree. You got a great concept there for a game. AlphaOmegaSin, what kind of game would you like to make?
Ooh, I guess I would combine together two of my favorite genres and just kind of say fuck it, and that'd be a survival horror and RPG. Everybody already knows I'm purveyor of things that are scary and whatnot, and RPGs are just very fun and addictive because they're story-centric and, they're addictive just in the sense of, combat and leveling up and shit like that. So I'd like to see something, I don't know, kind of like maybe a mindfuck like Eternal Darkness, a real fucked up setting like Silent Hill, and I'd want it to be a real basic turn-based RPG because I don't think we have enough of those anymore. They've kind of just went the way of the dodo, so I'd want to try to bring that back as much as I could without seeming too outdated.
Well, goddamn, look at where the Silent Hill series is going. I'm sure after Book of Memories, they'll be willing to listen to any of your ideas. Silent Hill RPG, here we come.
Book of Memories isn't a real thing. That thing should just fucking explode in itself. But it would, yeah. And if anybody's listening, if you're a Silent Hill fan, avoid it at all costs, just so that Konami gets it through their head to stop fucking things up that are associated with Silent Hill. Because for fuck's sake, that's everything bad, everything AIDS, everything on fire. Just combine it together in a
simultaneously.
Yes, as a matter of fact, just it's AIDS, acid, fire, Tyrannosaurus Rex erection, fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex erection. That is a hard thing to
Say that
say.
3 times fast.
Tyrannosaurus Rection.
Yeah, T-rection? Maybe we can go with that.
Oh, a direction.
Yeah, I think I may have said a new term. So everybody, here you go. That's another first here on the Hate Bit podcast. T-rection. So that's when you have the most massive fucking boner ever. But anyway, yeah. So
It's the tyrannorection.
Oh,
see now we're gonna have to start adding other things like Ultra and Robo in front of it, and maybe like some thousands at the end.
I'll take it a further. What about more obscure dinosaurs like an iguanodon? Huh? What about that?
Whoa, wait, you know what? That's a product right there. That is not a member. That's a product.
Velociraptor.
Wait, are we making more merchandise here? Officially,
Yes.
we're making more merch.
Making more merch, making bacon.
Yeah,
As
well,
they say.
this is our prehistoric line, everybody. This is the Hate Bit prehistoric line.
Merchandising.
Don't forget, we've got the whole Spaceballs idea, haven't we?
Oh, I know. We're gonna have the Hate Bit podcast, the flamethrower.
The kids will love it.
Kid-
But besides all the merchandise plugging and everything, that is my idea for. Oh, you know what? Here, and one more. I would like to make another beat 'em up, a really big beat 'em up style game, similar to the Yakuza games, but even crazier and more out there. But yeah,
You know, there are people that suggest that we should have our own very own beat 'em up.
I would love that. And then
That
some.
would be awesome. If somebody wants to make the Hate Bit podcast beat up, I'll blow you. It's okay. I'll go ahead and blow you. It's all right.
He'll blow
I'll
you.
take
Just
one.
have a
I'll take
cover.
one. I will.
Pay you.
I am willing to lean into the strike zone and take one for the team here. It's all right.
You
but,
sort of stand-up
And
kind
we
of guy.
we call that a jaw jacker around these parts.
God, yeah.
Because Alpha cheated, I'm gonna throw another one out there. I totally forgot. I always wanted to do a open world RPG that was party based like an old school JRPG. I've mentioned it on previous episodes of the Hate Bit podcast, but I always wanted to do that. Like if Oblivion fucked Breath of Fire or Final Fantasy or whatever, kind of.
I
is
think,
what
I think we had a mashups question, didn't we, of that?
Yeah, we did. It would kind of it'd be sort of a third. It'd be a third Final Fantasy and Breath of Fire, a third Mass Effect, and a third Oblivion, Skyrim, whatever, Elder Scrolls kind of. That's the way I look at it. I've always wanted that because I feel like one of the things big open world RPGs are missing, aside from a narrative that doesn't suck, is like a group of characters that you're interested in and that you actually have like relationships with, like interpersonal relationships with. Like if somebody could just put the Mass Effect thing together with the Elder Scrolls thing, I think it would be something really awesome. But nobody's seemed to do that. It looked like they were going to try and do that with Dragon's Dogma, but then everybody was a one-note caricature, so it didn't matter. You know?
I don't know. I like the idea that you were just talking about anything having sexual relations in general with Breath of Fire. That would make me happy. Any kind of offspring from the fucking series would be really nice at this point, since it's
right?
pretty much dead.
I think it would be handled kind of like how followers are on Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, whatever. How the guys follow you around, but instead of just one person, it could be 5, 4, 5, however many people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd like whenever they do have anything like that. I always thought it was cool whenever you just had like a companion with you, assuming that the AI wasn't absolutely fucking retarded. It's like, you're a dullard, but I love you anyway.
That's the problem, especially in Dragon's Dogma. There are some special Olympians on the Dragon's Dogma cast, let's just say. So
Concerned with just having the Paralympics in London right now. You picked your timing, didn't you?
I say, what timing? That's fantastic.
But just an expansion to this whole what games would make. Actually, I'd wanted to make a system when I was growing up.
Ooh.
Oh, me
My
too.
own system.
Everybody wanted to make their own system, and everyone said it would have Nintendo CD.
No, it was. I actually wanted to make a 64-bit disk drive system. Not like the 64 disk drive. I'm talking like a proper CD-based system, which would have actually.
You mean like the Jaguar CD?
No. That's a toilet. Literally, it's a toilet. If you look at it.
I was gonna say, this is completely random, but do you guys remember when SNK was supposed to be making the 64-bit Neo Geo console, and then they scrapped it? Anyone?
No.
No one?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
News to
It was It's supposed to be based around their. They had a arcade unit. I cannot remember the Samurai
Yeah,
Shodown game.
they had like a 64-bit. That this was when they were making the really shitty 3D Samurai Showdown games.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
I
And,
remember I was actually excited about that because I was thinking, man, this could actually be affordable by comparison to their other systems, which cost $80 gajillion, with the exception of Neo Geo Pocket Color, of course. But yeah, I don't know. That just came to mind whenever I was thinking about 64-bit. But Mr. Chaos, what kind of game are you trying to make? Yeah.
The only game I would try and make, and I mean this sincerely, is a wrestling game. A wrestling game I can tolerate. That's all I want. I want a wrestling game
man? You know what they need to do? I'm gonna throw this out there. They need to go back because right now nobody's interested in the product. They tried to do it with WWE 13, how they're having like an Attitude Era flashback, whatever. I'm saying what they need to do is flat out do a game set in an older time in wrestling.
Yeah.
Just literally
Which
go
older
back,
time?
copy the roster from top to bottom. Yeah, you can have the odd secret character or whatever from the modern day, just for the little kiddies, but they're only secret characters. At the end of the day, everything from the announcers to the way the ring attire is and everything to the roster from top to bottom will be set in a different time. Have one during the Hogan era. Like the Showdown Legends of Wrestling thing was cool, but it's annoying because it's a bunch of people from different eras, so it doesn't feel authentic.
I see what you mean. So go with just a period piece.
Yeah, literally set a game in 1998 and do the definitive Attitude Era game, but do it with modern technology. And do one in 1991 and have it be in the Hogan era or something. You know what I mean? So that's always what I think the.
Well, see, if they did that, what would be fucking awesome is if they had a way that they could split it up where you could actually play, through WWE and then, well, technically you'd be playing through WWF and then WCW. Bring up all the things that they out on Nitro
They own all of that, so they
exactly.
could.
That's why it would be fucking awesome. Like, can you imagine? It's like a simulcast, and here's the things that are going on each show and everything that week. So then you play through Raw, then you play through Nitro, and then it goes through the week, and then you play through SmackDown, you play through Thunder and everything. Like that idea that you're talking about would be really cool. Assuming that they fleshed it out appropriately, that would be fucking awesome.
Take a step further. What about you had WCW versus NWO? What about WCW versus WWE the game? Set the game in 1997 and have both companies have the exact rosters they had back then, and you can choose your company. And you could literally go through a simulation where you're either playing as WCW or playing as WWF, and you're literally dueling like having a ratings war.
It'd be cool if they did like a full-out invasion angle with something.
You'd also have to take into account. You'd have to make sure that the audience is in any way enraptured by the idea of high television ratings.
Well, it's a simulation, so they're already theoretically.
Oh yeah, but see, you remember when we were kids? You didn't give a fuck about the ratings. You just wanted to see someone get a fucking chair shot.
Yeah.
On Saturday morning on WWF Superstars, you wanted to see someone get hit with a chair. That's not going to happen because this is when they're advertising Captain Crunch, but you hoped it would happen.
I was always hoping for tables.
I didn't even envision tables until sometime in the middle 90s.
The Dudley Boys.
Little did I know about scaffolding matches and all that stuff.
Oh, dude,
but anyway,
those are amazing.
Well, old Jim Cornette found out how amazing they were firsthand.
Devon, get the table.
All right, we got one more piece of mail before we move on to the rest of our program. This is a question actually specifically for Razorfist. Comes from King Moolah 2. And the reason I'm reading this mail is because I'm curious about this myself. Razorfist, what were your thoughts on Gold Dust's alter ego Black Rain? Now, I'm not really familiar with this, so could you give me a backstory and then tell me what you think?
He did when Dustin left WWE in 2006. He went to TNA. And he was Dustin Rhodes, the American Nightmare, for a while. And he did his own thing, and that was cool. But then him and Vince Russo, I guess, collaborated backstage, and he was coming up with an idea, kind of like what he did in '99 when he jumped ship over to WCW, and he came in as Seven, which was like
The
he
child
dressed up.
molester.
Well, he dressed up. He was inspired by the film, one of my favorite films, Dark City. And it was, the guys in the long leather trench coats and the white faces with the hats down low over their face. He did that. He was kind of going to be the WCW's Undertaker, and he had this amazing entrance. If anybody wants to look it up, go on YouTube. It's there. He literally floated down to the ring and floated over the ring ropes and like dropped down, and there's like thunder cracking, and like it was crazy. He was just this amazing. It was a great gimmick, and then apparently WCW censors caught wind of it and said he seemed like a pedophile and canned the gimmick because they did this early promo where I guess he was outside some kid's window and it looked like it was like vaguely pedophilic, but it was actually that the kid was controlling him. But anyways, I digress. It was a similar gimmick. He went to TNA and he kind of had an idea. Basically, it was like schizophrenic. It was that he had this alternate personality his entire life that was haunting him, and that alternate personality was Black Rain. So he was kind of like he was a silver version of Gold. He was a dark, evil version of Goldust, kind of. He had like a black wig. Had silver face paint that was all weird and had all these crazy designs on it. And I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I just think it was booked really bad. He lost a lot. And it really devalued the character. So that would be my opinion on it. I really enjoyed Black Rain. That was one of the things I liked about TNA at the time was they actually had characters. Something WWE hasn't had for like 10 fucking years. So it's all Steve Williams versus Jack Johnson. Boy, that's riveting stuff on the main event on Raw.
Hey, how dare you say that they need gimmicks and everything and characters and personality traits and everything when they can just come out in their basic trunks and I'm angry and that's it. And I'm a good guy. See me smiling, and that's all.
Well, that would be perfectly fine if they would try and figure out just to let those guys wrestle instead of making them, talk.
Well, and
Did they learn nothing from Bill Goldberg?
You know what's terrifying is some of these guys don't go by their real names. But the names that WWE gives them are just as boring, or like 10 times more boring, as a matter of fact. Like Jack Swagger is not his real name, obviously. But Jack Swagger's like the most boring name in the history of names.
Or Mark
And then,
Iroh?
or Kurt Hennig's kid. Kurt Hennig's son goes by Mike McGillicuddy in WWE as a fake name.
What?
Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect's son, would rather go by Mike McGillicuddy than by whatever his
What
name.
is this big Irish push that Vince McMahon's doing here where he's got just these Irish assholes?
I have no butt fucking clue, but
I figured
wow.
you would have like a clue into that or something because it seems this whole thing is starting to seem like, I want to say an early film when there was those paranoia films talking about the invading Irish. Is that what this is? You're the expert around here. You tell me.
What? I'm an anthropologist all of a sudden?
Yes.
No.
I thought it was a
But yeah,
proctologist.
that's what
That's what
bothers me.
many-
Like there's so many people with like Dolph Ziggler, and like, oh, come on, if you're gonna give him a fake name, give him a gimmick. Jesus, like even a bad one
hey,
with Fractal.
he does
mean, like,
have a
beef
gimmick right
cakes?
now. Dolph Ziggler's gimmick is to live in the shadow of Mr. Perfect forever.
Yep, forever.
It's funny because you had mentioned him, but he literally is living in the shadow of Mr. Perfect. Oh, and since he's still not much of shit on the mic, he still has Vicky Guerrero as his mouthpiece because, well, he can't cut a promo for shit. So,
Mr. Perfect could cut a promo without saying a goddamn thing.
Well, and Mr. Perfect was great on the mic. They even had him doing announcing for a while, and he was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
Like I remember one time when Goldust was walking to the ring on he was gonna fight Razor Ramon or something, and Marlena's walking out with him. She's in front of him, and like usual, Marlena's nipples were massive and erect, and Mr. Perfect, knowing that there's an audience full of children, like in the most brilliant way possible, just turns to Jerry Lawler and goes, "Boy, there's quite a cold front moving through this area."
I remember that.
Oh.
Anyway,
So yeah, video games are great. Um,
And stuff.
And
and
stuff.
stuff. We have a great time, don't we? Don't we have a good time here on the 8-Bit Podcast?
We try to.
And we thank you for joining us. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do for the mail right now because we got to get on with this, show thing. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, please, and I cannot stress this enough, please drop us a line at 8bitpodcast@gmail.com. And also don't forget to like us on Facebook because that's how you can find out when we're mad at somebody and then, we can suggest that you go kill them. And this is how the internet works and makes it great and how you build a legion of followers and who will do your bidding. I have a feeling I wasn't supposed to say that out loud, but anyway.
Well, next time you have an idea, that thing that keeps your brain in, keep it inside there.
I can't though because then I'll never be a cult leader in Texas.
Oh.
See, yeah, there's an angle there. I'm depressing everybody, so let's move on. Razorfist and I were having a discussion about the main man over at Electronic Arts, Frank Gibeau, had some comments, and Razorfist can spit it better than I can. Razorfist, what did Frank Gibeau say?
Frank Gibeau says definitively, number one, he's... Look, EA is in the shithouse right now. Let's just say that right up front, all right? Their stock price is barely above the minimum to remain listed right now. They are bleeding shareholders, bleeding revenue, bleeding interest in their products. So there's just blood everywhere. And at the end of the day, right now they are doing damage control because they have such a negative public image. They were voted the most hated company in the world, and of course we talked about it on a previous edition of the 8-Bit Podcast. They just they shoved it off. They shrugged it off rather, and said, "Well, we're sure glad Halliburton is glad that they did it." Like, number one, like Halliburton. It's just a fucking oil company anyways. Yes, they do war contracting, but that's a whole other fucking hill of beans. At the end of the day, they were trying to shift blame onto someone else. And they were
We're terrible.
They were trying to devalue the opinions of others. And the fact of the matter is, if your audience genuinely sees you as one of the worst companies in the world, that's a bad thing, and there's no other way to spin that. Period. So that's what they've been doing. They've been doing damage control, and the latest bit of feculence he's been dispensing from that bullshit depository on the front of his face is that EA does not micromanage their studios. Specifically, he pointed out BioWare, saying BioWare is going to make what kind of games BioWare wants to make, and we couldn't possibly make them do it even if we wanted to. Even though we're handing down edicts that say all of our games going forward have to have multiplayer. It's not our fault if BioWare then chooses to follow that edict and add multiplayer into the game. It is just the most resplendent cognitive dissonance I think I've ever seen in my life, this guy. Unbelievable. Every time this guy opens his mouth, the most staggering quantity of fucking stupid comes flying out. It is terrifying. So yeah, that would be basically what he said. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone...
Well, let's just say he's a stupid fuck and move on. That's all I can say.
I'm going to say this. Who's surprised? Anyone? Anyone surprised? Someone?
Well, what is your take on it? Do you guys think... Because I think there's a granule of truth in there, which is usually true when somebody tells a bold-faced lie. They try to keep a little bit of truth, so you might just believe some. I think there is a little bit of fact there, because BioWare wasn't kicked out of... Like, Microsoft didn't kick BioWare out the door. BioWare wanted to leave Microsoft, and so Microsoft gave them their independence, and then they went and joined EA.
Oops.
So it was BioWare's ambition that got them to this place. So it's like, I can believe to an extent that some of it is their own sort of profligate bullshit. They want to make really big selling games, so they're making stupid decisions and making really, really just huge design missteps that are ultimately costing their games overall quality. So I think there's at least some truth to that. Personally.
I'm just confused as to who's blaming who here.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like there's a blame game. It's like, well, we didn't do that. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Yes, you did. Well, no, we didn't. Well, yes, you did. Well, no, we didn't. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually stake a claim before you can, expect repayment for such a claim. Um, but what really can you expect? All we've been getting over the last year is a series of backpedaling statements.
Well, it's just buck
altern-
passing. It's buck passing. He doesn't want
Yeah.
to take responsibility for what he's done. Yes, I do think BioWare are very largely to blame for where they're at right now.
Sure.
They made the decision to join EA because John Riccitiello, the current CEO of EA, is a former BioWare guy. They said to themselves, "We'll get more money. We'll have more money to spend on these projects. We'll be bigger. We'll be wealthier." They are greedy. It's as simple as that. And okay, now you're over at EA, but here's the thing: along with those big budgets comes it has to come big sales. You have to sell more copies to justify the massive budget that you've just been given. So I think that's really what it is. It's an identity crisis at the end of the day for BioWare. They have to sell more copies of their games because now they've raised the stakes on themselves. And I think it's almost better to be mid-market in a way because your games end up being better.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they're not alone. They're one of a number of development studios that got too big for their britches far too soon and now find themselves right behind the cue ball.
Exactly. Bingo.
And this is, I would love to say that what we're talking about is news, but really this is all we've had to talk about in the entire existence of this podcast.
Yep.
Are you sure you people come here to be uplifted? Because this is just depressing shit.
Oh no, I want to go.
There was a time, I assure you, before this podcast came to being, that they actually made games and stuff. See, that's
and stuff.
I know. Well, I mean, you look at the comments that are said here, and as Razorfist pointed out, it's just a bunch of fucking backpedaling. And I really, I don't know how I'm going to explain this to my brothers have a child soon, and I don't know how I'm going to explain that the world was once okay.
Well, it's just nobody wants to take responsibility for anything. It's to me,
no
it's
one
just
wants to
buck
do
passing.
anything.
It's
Everyone
buck
wants to be
passing the
paid
nth
to do
degree.
nothing.
Every time Frank Gibeau gets a microphone or a platform to promulgate his position, he ultimately passes the buck to somebody else. Well, it's not our fault. BioWare makes their own decision. He basically, in this interview, is saying BioWare dug their own grave. That is essentially what he is communicating here.
Mm-hmm. And also making sure like he left them to die.
He's like, Casey Hudson's an artist, and we couldn't make him do anything if he didn't want to. So if you don't like it, then you don't like BioWare. I agree with that to an extent, but it's just,
I like the way you put that.
It is. At the end of the day, he's just sort of buck passing.
I agree, but it's like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. And if you got a problem, talk to that guy.
Exactly. If you don't like it, it's not my fault.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've said all we really can say about Mr. Gibeau and his buck passing. But in completely unrelated other news, you guys aren't going to believe this. Big news on the hardware front. The Xbox 720 has apparently been delayed. Sainted Magnus? What? Wait, what?
Right. Apart from Microsoft's other failures this year, there was a report that they're actually supplying AMD are actually supplying the chipsets for the new Xbox, according to sources. And what had happened was that before they could put these AMD chipsets into production, there was a shortage of materials, which in turn delays the next Xbox. But the thing is, they've not even released anything about the new Xbox, so why put out something like that just to build up hype? Because it's just not building up hype; it's building up more disappointment for the next bloody Xbox, which is not even a games console. It's going to be a fucking entertainment system. What the hell? Anyway, Razorfist, I'm sure you've got something to say about this.
Well, first off, I think all the consoles are turning into entertainment devices. I think we have to throw that out there first. Even the fucking Wii, most people are using for Netflix now.
Sure.
So
It's a $50 Netflix box now.
It really is. I think it's kind of, yeah. Actually, that's a really, really good description of it. But yeah, I don't know. I think first off, it's a bunch of rumors. I mean, I remember a bunch of BS rumors before the Xbox 360 and PS3 came out. I mean, you remember what Sony said the PS3 was going to be able to do? You remember what Microsoft said the Xbox 360 was going to be able to do?
They said they'd actually pay your gas bill, pay your fucking electric
Yeah.
bill, and still have enough time to give you a head while you play a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was just the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, if you
But now,
if you run
but now, instead of giving you a head, they butt fuck you up the arse, don't do anything for you, and just sit there eating electric and eating anything that you put into the damn things.
while you look at a bunch of ads. So
I'd say
that's
you can thank Xbox for that one.
you can indeed.
Yes.
You can.
I
But
feel sorry for you Xbox Live Gold members.
Although they did announce this past week they're going to steal Sony's idea and go with the free games for Xbox Live Gold members.
After how many years?
I know.
Wait. Where does the free part come in?
It's gold members.
Exactly.
If you pay us, it's free. I mean, hold on. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm pretty sure that if you pay for something, it wasn't free.
Oh,
I think you pay
my.
for privilege.
Because watch this. If you pay for 1 month of I know you have to pay for a year, but if you get 1 year of Xbox Live, and then you get those games for free and you store them, and then you stop paying it however much a year, you don't get to use them.
Nope.
So
Not
I
only
don't even
that,
know
but
what.
Come on, why would you go with it? Why would you get an Xbox Live Gold membership at this point? I mean, come on. Okay, Xbox Live goes down like 3 years ago. I got 2 free games out of the deal. Every time Xbox Live goes down, you get a free game. So why not just wait for the next outage and get your free games that way?
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
It's
Come
exactly
on.
what PlayStation did last year.
Exactly.
You know, we
So it's like, why-
had an outage. We had an outage for what 6 weeks, and what did they give us?
Ugh.
2 free games, plus a month of
Which is okay. That's
plus a
kind of
month of
ridiculous.
plus.
Because Xbox Live Gold went down for like a weekend back in 2006, and they gave us our pick of like 3 games. So
People lost their fucking heads when it went down.
Oh no,
Yeah,
they lose their heads
but-
if it's down for maintenance on a Saturday morning.
Well, yeah, because God forbid we can't play Call of Duty with the rest of the frat bros.
Oh,
We'll have to. In the meantime, we'll have to drop Bing cherries out of our ass into a shot glass. Oh, drat. But anyways, during
Yeah,
fucking
or the horror, you could just walk over to your friend's house and play there.
yeah. Couch gaming.
No, but okay, what you're talking about, that's
Oh, that would.
blasphemous.
I'm
Nobody
sorry, that
actually
would
does
require
that.
split screen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
They don't have that anymore. I forgot because I'm from the Stone Age apparently.
Yeah, that's past tense.
Yeah.
That's passe.
Yeah.
I can't believe how paranoid we've become as a people that we can't even fucking play games in the same room as one another.
Oh no. Because don't you remember back in the day, if you beat your mate and he started gloating, you'd just punch him in the fucking head, wouldn't you? Don't you remember that? If somebody says, "Yeah, I killed you" on GoldenEye, you punched him in the head.
You want to know what
I was a violent little bastard.
one thing that makes me laugh is the sheer amount of money that some people spend on these ridiculously expensive headsets just so that they can hear somebody screaming, "Fuck you, bitch! Fuck you! You're a faggot ass bitch, motherfucker!" over and over again in their ear. So you get to hear it as clear as possible. That's one of the things that blows me away. Is like, because some people, they buy the headsets just so that they can play online FPS games, and it's just that's all that you're hearing for the most part.
Well,
This shit's
this
fucking
is
hilarious.
one thing I can't understand. Why would anybody pay £100 or $130 to play Call of Duty with this fucking posh headset that doesn't actually do anything? It just makes you look like a fucking prat while you're playing it.
Because there's a difference. You can call your friend a shithead from however many miles away, or you can call him a shithead in compact disc quality audio. Shithead.
Wow. Wow, I feel fucking special.
See? Technology. These are the same people that like to watch cartoons in high def.
Yeah.
Anyway.
want to get my anime from 1983. See all the film grain.
Yay! I saw another cigarette mark.
And just so you know, everybody, Mickey Mouse is currently watching Akira here. We're just trying
That's
to calm
true.
him down.
Hey, we're gonna get sued for talking like that.
That's some trippy shit, haha.
Oh boy! Anyway, hey, big news on the software front. You're not gonna believe this. Sony and Bethesda are working tirelessly for you fans to fix a game that should have been right the first time. Sainted Magnus,
Well, it's
tell me.
only been almost a year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I mean, no,
let's. I'm not going to defend this, because this is just fucking ridiculous.
but give me
Right.
the details.
Well, as we know, the fuckheads at Bethesda fucked up Skyrim for the PlayStation 3, as in they released the game before it worked, and ever since then they've been trying to get the game to work properly. Now, since then we've had 2 DLC packs been released on the Xbox and PC respectively, and believe it or not, they have worked. On the PS3, on the other hand, the PS3's not had the DLC, and neither has it worked. And now Sony, with their infinite record of making things work right, have waded in and says, "We're helping Bethesda to try and get this damn game to work." And I don't have any faith in the PlayStation version of Skyrim. And the only way they're going to get it to work is bunk it all on a Blu-ray and sell it as a Game of the Year edition in about 18 months' time. Razor Fist, take over.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, you summed it up really well. Basically, look, they released when Oblivion came out. It was an Xbox 360 exclusive for over a year.
Yes.
It was an Xbox 360 exclusive for over a year. Now we realize why that was. It was because it took extra time. Clearly, they're not experienced in developing for the PS3. Bethesda used to be a PC game studio exclusively. Now suddenly they're working on consoles over the past 5 years, right? They're still kind of learning their way through, and I'm not apologizing for BioWare, obviously, for Bethesda, as obviously if you're going to undertake something, you have to actually, know how to do it. But they basically, I think it's growing pains, quite frankly, of them not really being a console developer.
Yeah.
So they're feeling their way through, and you can't feel your way through with a AAA game on PS3. I'm sorry. They should have delayed this. They should have waited a year and released Skyrim on PS3 when they could make a version that actually fucking worked.
Yeah, because
It's as simple as that. Give them the extra DLC if you want to, you know what I mean? But goddamn, it has to work. This game, as we know from when Silent Rob was on the podcast, you can't even jump in water or the game locks up.
Exactly, and same happened to me. It's that simple.
But here's the thing, I really feel like they owe the fans something. Like, they should be giving them free shit out the ass just for the sheer volume of bullshit that has been incurred by people who trust that, well, my $60 is obviously going to give me a quality product. Oh, wait, I'm just going to be relying heavily on you patching this game whenever you find X amount of glitches that day? Cool. That sounds really awesome. I can't wait for that. I love playing a game that's borderline broken.
Well, that's basically what it is. It's borderline broken. The game was broken from day one, and it's still broken now. What? Nearly 9 months since the game was released.
Do you realize they could have broke the game down and rebuilt it all over again in the same amount of time?
Yeah, but that means taking a leaf out of Square's book at the moment. They kind of done that with Final Fantasy XIV, as we all know. So.
No, we don't know what you're talking about. No, that was a completely new experience. That was Square Enix wouldn't lie to us. How dare you slander those nice people?
Yeah.
Are they paying you?
No, that was sarcasm, and I'm sure it didn't catch on in Europe. But
oh,
well, I wasn't a big Seinfeld fan, so.
Neither am I, and that's why I'm stealing all his shit.
Fair play.
Oh, I hate you. Seinfeld's the best. Goodness, you're an anti-Seinfeldite.
Yeah, well, she had man hands. Anyway.
You're
so yeah,
anti-dentite.
I was in the pool. Let me see.
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyway, in the meantime.
I'm sorry. I lost my place. You guys were just talking and making nothing but sense.
Yes.
Oh, Razorfist wanted to talk about the Mass Effect anime. Razorfist, what about the Mass Effect anime?
Well, first off, it's been delayed, which is great.
That's the good news, folks.
That's the good news.
However,
so this thing was teased all the way back in December or November last year, and it was supposed to come out in conjunction with Mass Effect 3, the game, which was obviously in March and probably shouldn't have been released in March, just for the record. Probably should have been pushed back. It was pretty half goddamn finished. And yeah, basically it's an anime, and it centers around everybody's favorite character, James Vega, the slab of personality with the faux hawk in 2012 and the wildly attractive tribal tattoos that are so fashionable now. And yeah, so that's the whole anime.
Wow.
So yeah, pushed back. Thank Christ. There is a God.
Everybody, okay, clench your fucking assholes right now. I understand you're all excited about this, and you're about to prolapse, but seriously, it'll eventually come out, and you'll be able to enjoy it, and all of its absolute fucking boring glory.
Oh man, how well does anime congeal with a Western RPG? Doesn't it always work out so well?
Very much so.
Like that Dead Space anime was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Dude, I saw that recently, and holy shit, whoever did the art for that, I just want to give them a pat on the back and kick them down several fucking flights of stairs, because
God, did you ever see the Dragon Age anime? Because that works well for a blatantly Western RPG.
I have not.
It's actually considerably worse.
Oh,
really? I don't know, man. That Dead Space one was pretty awful. Like I stared at it for a long time. I was like, so this is what they came out with, huh? Oh. And I know somebody who's listening is like, oh, I kind of like that. Like, no, you didn't. You like Dead Space and forced yourself to like that. There's a big difference.
I have never met a single carbon-based life form that likes that Dead Space anime.
I don't know. I just think about that one person out there who's just like, I can't believe AlphaOmegaSin and Razor Fist are making fun of that. There's this one scene that I found absolutely riveting. And this person also definitely fucking should seek mental help, because frankly, the fucking story was crap, the art was crap, the animation was crap, and like it was just a fucking joke. Saw it on Netflix one time, and it'll be the last time.
Anyway,
Yeah.
And we're crunching numbers again, everybody, just so you know.
Derp, 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 derp.
These damn calculators just not working like they're supposed to. What the fuck?
No,
Mathematicians.
I just briefly had to consider the very existence of that Dragon Age anime. I'm sorry.
See, I'm pretty sure that fucked up everything here on the podcast was just mentioning all this shitty westernized anime or anime. I don't know. Just put it this way. You shouldn't take something like Dead Space or Mass Effect and make it into an anime, because it always turns out like crap. It's just a bad idea. So stop doing that. It's not good, and it makes people sad.
Yeah. Sad face.
Hey, Yell Chaos, do your job.
Yeah, come on.
I am doing my job. I'm letting you be an asshole and be praised for it.
Hey, that's your job. Actually, that's both of our jobs.
I know. And why do we keep attracting the conspiracy theorists? God damn it.
Oh boy, Yell Chaos hates black people.
Did they finally catch on to that?
No, I think that was just Kanye West commenting.
Oh, well, Kanye West is a straight up nugga. Anyway,
Well,
what else
let's
is
just put
going
it this way. We don't like Kanye West.
No.
Well, you can't say that, man. You're British, man. That's,
I'm
the ACLU is going to be pounding down the door anytime now because of what you said. And I'll say, hey, he was a British guy. Hey, he's. And then they'll let you go because you are British and very nice. So, what else?
If not, we'll just take their country and be done with it.
I know, just kind of a lazy feeling podcast today, huh?
Yeah,
Well, there's no really compelling.
I know,
news.
but we're having a nice time. We are referred to as a very high impact podcast. I've heard us referred
high
to.
impact,
And
yes.
High impact, yes. And
I
a
still
lot of
think
people.
we are very much.
Yes,
With
we know
that
a lot
high
of people are afraid to
impact-
come on our show.
We're that high impact, we give people whiplash just by listening to us.
Yeah. Now, I gotta tell you guys, we're in halftime right now. Welcome to halftime of the Hate Bit Podcast. And since, like I said, it's a very, very lazy kind of laid-back podcast, we're just gonna have a little chat, and I'm gonna, go over the mail as well, and lay on little details. There's been talk, and I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves, if you don't mind, for just a minute about. Do you think it's fair to say what has been said a lot this week about how the PSP is overrun with ports? Is that true in your eyes?
It is. It's fucking 100% true. There we go.
I think it is to a certain degree.
Oh.
The thing is, I think there's a lot of exclusive titles on it that are severely overlooked. Like it's filled to the brim with a lot of really good titles, but yeah,
But I gotta say, a lot of those feel forced, and it's because they are. I mean, literally Sony, like 2 years ago, said, "Hey, nobody's buying our PSP." So they literally took their first-party studios and said, "Hey, even though these titles aren't really going to sell, you have to make X, Y, and Z for our PSP over here because we're dying on the vine." You know what I mean? So I think that's a lot of those titles, like that Uncharted game that came out, although that's for Vita, but
That's
you know what I
actually
mean?
not that bad, though, I must admit.
It feels so generic.
Well,
It just feels. I don't know.
it's a game that's designed to show you the touch features on the console.
Definitely.
And it does work. It does work really well. And it doesn't feel forced like the Wii did. Not bad mouthing
Well,
Nintendo, because I've been playing...
What, not enough waggle for you?
It's too much.
I know how you love to waggle your wand, Sainted.
Not nearly enough.
I was gonna say, you know what? Since we're talking about the ports on PSP, some of the ports that they have on it honestly turned out to be much better than the originals. Like, for instance, have you guys ever played the Final Fantasy Tactics port on PSP? The War of the Lions?
Once or twice.
Riveting.
Well, put it this way: if you ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, this version is 100 times better. Just flat out amazing in every way. They also did a port of Tactics Ogre. Again, much better than the original, both of which are pretty damn classic. They also have a port of the first Lunar game, which is again very, very good. They ported the original Disgaea. They ported the Persona games, all of which turned out to be better. So at least for me, all the ports that they did on the PSP, at least the ones I've got my hands on and played, I liked a lot more than the original, so I was okay with it because it wasn't just a direct lazy port. Here we're just going to stick this game onto that system, so it's now in handheld portable fashion. But they in fact upgraded it and made it better in certain areas, so I was kind of happy with that much.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have never played any. I've only played the original Final Fantasy Tactics, so I don't know. Although I have played Ogre something for N64. Is that the same franchise?
Yeah, Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre within the same universe.
Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, I played that. That was good. That was one of the few really, really good N64 RPGs. And by few, I mean like literally you can count them on 3 fingers.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a whopping like 4 altogether on the 4 or 5, some shit.
Yeah.
Put it this way: if you have one hand, you counted all of them. Yeah.
Yay!
We'll get to that a little later in the podcast, though, won't we?
Apparently so.
You're projecting. You're projecting.
A little tease, just the tip.
Just get the tip in there. Just stick it in a little. Just a little.
Just a little bit. Just
a
little bit more.
Chaos. What are you on? What are you on? Ambien today? Come on, move it along. What's next?
Well, we were.
Well, you're the one talking about showing your ladies some wee waggle. I was, just allowing you to, take it along. We gotta let things happen naturally on this podcast. You gotta feel it. You gotta make it happen.
Right.
So you know what? We got something here in the 8-bit ball bag, and it comes to us at the inbox here at YouTube, and it comes from a regular contributor to the 8-bit ball bag, Hiatus, and Hiatus says, "Hey guys."
Hiatus.
Hello.
He says, "You are all magnificent bastards, and I still love listening to this podcast." Well, thank you for listening. He says, "Some questions for you, but I only see one, or is it two? Oh, no, there's another. You're not spacing them out right, Hiatus. God damn it." He says, "How often do you guys have video game related dreams? And if so, what was the most awesome / fucked up one you can remember?" Um, anyone?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I had one. I had one once when I was a kid. I had a nightmare that I was being chased by a man with a knife, and then I was, I was in the Mushroom Kingdom hitting blocks, and then I fell to my death.
Doop, 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 doop.
Complete with sound effects and everything. It's
I
fantastic.
know.
I like those kind of. I can honestly say I've never like if I did have a video game related dream, I forgot about it. I'm one of those people where I don't remember my dreams ever. So
I'm one of those people too, but when I do remember them, they are batshit, man. Let me tell you, they are nothing to fuck around with.
No, that's just because you're awake.
I know, right?
You daydream more than normal dream.
It's true. No, God, for me, I don't think I ever had a video game related dream really. I've had dreams where I'm playing video games, which is
yeah,
stupid.
That is a really, really, really sad dream.
Oh, it's lame. It's like okay, I'm gonna have a dream now. I'll be sitting on a couch with a controller in my hand. Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when Homer Simpson fell asleep and he was dreaming that he was asleep. And in his dream, and then he was dreaming also that he was eating a sandwich.
I just remember the
like,
Sonic.
Was it like that? Were you actually dreaming that you were sitting on a sofa?
I don't know.
Yes.
It's
Because if so, you have a very uncomfortable bed. That's what that means. I'm translating your dream for you.
Yeah, up until recently that was true. I got a nice queen size now. We are talking about beds. What the fuck?
Yeah,
This
you
is
got
the-
a queen size.
Now you know why you can't remember your dreams.
This is for all the Satan Magnus fangirls out there. Just gotta talk about our beds.
It's
for a minute.
a rich tapestry.
It's a very soft headboard. Wink, wink, wink.
Mm.
Anyways, actually had an airbag installed. But anyways,
Wow, we're just having too much fun here on this show, man.
Too much
we're
fun.
just, we cannot stay on topic even almost.
No, we can, and you know what? They don't pay us to, so who
I was
gives
gonna
a-
say today is one of those perfect days to be off topic, though. Even though we have the few people out there that will complain, why can't they stay on topic? Motherfucker, when do we really ever try to stay on topic all that often?
Yeah,
Matter of fact,
not
I
like
think a
that,
lot of the best conversations we've had were because it just went off and derailed and went completely down a fucking mountain and into some like cavern and everything, and then all of a sudden unearthed a bunch of bullshit.
Well, we are a
Well,
bunch
not
of
to mention
glorious
that
bastards.
that they come here for news. It's like, wow, do you cruise over to McDonald's for nutrition too?
All the time. I always get the salad with tons of dressing on it, and then ask for that Diet Coke.
Oh. I'm sorry,
And
I
can
didn't
you
mean
put
to-
bacon on there? A lot of bacon and something. Put chicken on there, but grilled
have that
chicken
bacon
because
Coke?
that's healthy.
Yep, you have
Don't
that.
forget
Yeah,
the bacon strips. And the bacon strips, and the bacon strips, and the bacon strips. Yeah.
Dude, I would love a bacon salad. Just replace all the lettuce with bacon, and that'd be
and those
fantastic.
bacon bun too.
Oh, damn, I'm making myself really hungry. I haven't eaten yet.
Are you
so-
really?
Dude, I'm not shitting you. Like I saw this one picture somebody had posted where it was from Back to the Future, and it was the price of bacon from the year 1960, what the fuck ever, and then up until now, and it was like I want to go back in time, and then that picture made me hungry. Now talking about bacon again has made me hungry. What did that Back to the Future picture have to do with anything? No, fucking thing. But I felt like bringing it up, so fuck everybody.
Fuck yeah.
I love looking at old pictures. Like, you ever look at a picture of a gas station and you see like the price of gas? You're like, fuck, how long ago was that?
That was like 3 days ago. Damn.
And now we're talking about gas prices. We've become a very adult podcast.
We're maturing, everybody. We're
They're gonna have us
evolving.
on the McLaughlin group in no time.
I know, right? It's fine. We'll just
Hey,
Oh.
we have from time to time had our random political banter, and then the religious banter, and then the sexual innuendo tossed in for good flavor and to spice things up. So naturally, we have to go and bring this stuff in too.
To be perfectly fair, AlphaOmegaSin, we actually answer all three of those quandaries with "fuck everyone."
Yes, that's pretty much.
Yes. All you gotta do is spit on a fist, and there you go. Razor
There you
fist. Razor fist, spit on a fist. There you go.
Yes.
Make sure those razors are galvanized now. Make sure
Now,
they're galvanized.
have you guys seen the actual Razor Fist?
I'm,
No.
Is it-
I'm sure you're
One
going to
from
post a picture
Steel.
of it on the Facebooks later.
No, there's a real one. I did it in one of my vlogs. I forget which one. I actually had it. I have a big old spike gauntlet that I call the Razor Fist.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Oh.
Remember that.
Do you wear it around the crotchal region and then threat shape?
Yes, and it shoots fire.
Dude, that would be
Did you
fucking
get that at the
awesome.
Blackie Lawless garage sale?
Yes.
That would be
Oh.
the best garage sale to go to. But like, and I
Blackie,
also
it was
want to find
Blackie
a
Lawless's garage sale, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You would get something. You don't want to wear it because that whatever's in there would probably make your dick look like a foot.
You know what this conversation makes me think about the band Rammstein. They
what?
had the crazy pyrotechnic crotch fucking doodads and everything. That stuff definitely seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what? There needs to be official hate bit fire crotch things.
I don't know.
We're going to look like
um,
rejects from the darkness if we do that.
Hate bit fire crotch. Come on, nobody here is gonna nail HannahMinx. It's not gonna happen.
Oh.
Well, if you do now,
I don't know. Hey,
you will get a fucking fire crotch.
I was gonna say, to be fair, I'm still willing to go and do that, even if I'll fall in. I'm still willing to.
You will.
I will
Hot
take
dog in a
repelling gear
Grand
with me.
Canyon.
It's all right. I'll take repelling gear. I'll even shoot a video there. You know, I'll
Take your
do.
combat boots and your heavy coat.
How about this? I've done unboxing videos. I can unbox her box. Huh? I think
You
this
can
could.
unbox it. I mean,
Wait, what now?
Oh,
did you unbox yourself?
No.
No, or just it was a bad pun. It doesn't matter.
I know,
It's
I
something
agree.
about the muff box or something like that. So
Don't forget the steam box. Very important.
Please,
With all the
dear God,
valves on the
change the
top.
subject before we fall even further into HannahMinx's vag. Oh,
That's a
come
good
on.
idea. Someone just
and
toss
we
a
will
grappling hook.
Don't forget,
Pull us.
we'll never return.
if we ever end up down there, don't forget the diving gear.
Hey,
Yes.
at the very least, just so all of our listeners know, if for any reason all four of us fall into HannahMinx's vagina, we will continue to do the podcast from there, assuming we get our internet service down there.
Are you
But
kidding
I
me? That's
promise.
where the live stream is coming from.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
you know what?
we
Eric,
already
you-
made
you-
reservations.
it's kind of a spoiler now, but you know,
Yeah.
for all of our listeners, now you know where the live stream's coming from.
Yeah,
Straight
I
from
had
the
to
vaginal
lie.
walls of HannahMinx.
Yeah, I had to lie and say we were all Asian, but you're cool with that, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I'll just say I'm a J rock fan. or
On this
something.
edition of the Hate Bit Podcast, we are live from inside HannahMinx's pussy.
And oh, we have to have the echo effect.
Wait, we're supposed
Hello,
to be
hello.
Okay, if that isn't the title of this episode, I don't know what is. Live from inside HannahMinx's vag.
And if
And you
I
want
was
to know what's going to be
just-
great when people look up something on HannahMinx, eventually throughout the search results, our fucking video will pop up.
Yes.
Like, who the fuck are these random jackoffs? This isn't what I normally fap to. I can't fap. Oh wait, no, I could fap to that one. Yeah.
Wait a
actually,
minute,
it's like-
I
they're
don't
looking at Razorfist picture while they do it.
Yeah, they could. They could. Hey, I like to think that all of us have. We all have our own sex appeal. I'm pretty sure that they're just gonna use some MS Paint with a screen cap and then put fucking booby doodads on us and just fucking go to town in the room and just hope nobody hears them.
They did that. Have you not
Oh, I'm
seen?
sure.
Have you not seen the picture on the Facebooks?
No.
What?
Oh,
Picture.
somebody did a picture on the Facebooks on MS Paint of us all.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that's
wait, that
right.
picture. I thought you meant like a picture where we all had gigantic gazongas.
No, we've always had gigantic gazongas, but it's just we don't show them off like Razorfist does.
I try to squeeze my
That's the thing.
cleavage together.
See, we all have our own unique sex appeal. Like AlphaOmegaSin is burly and manly, and he's got his giant dong dangling in the breeze majestically, and
I'd
Sainted Magnus is pretty for a boy, and he's got his hats and his whatnot,
Oh. Well,
and
at
Yellow
least I don't
Chaos.
look like him from 1986 all day, every day.
And El Chaos has his beautiful hair that he primps and prepares every day, and he runs his hand through it like fucking Rapunzel. And then I'm just hot for a chick.
You are the manliest Cher impersonator the world has ever known.
Dude, remember to lick your teeth whenever you're talking and everything. You gotta do that whole thing. Oh my gosh. And don't talk about skiing accidents. It'll get you all choked up.
Oh. Or anything about the Allman Brothers. Don't say anything about the Allman Brothers.
And don't talk about your acting career. They'll also get you choked up. So.
And don't even bother with if you could turn back time. Please don't.
See, and just when I want to meet Cher for the express reason that I eventually just want to say when I'm gonna leave, okay, I think I'm gonna make like a tree and kill your ex-husband.
Why don't you just kill her and be done with it? Because what? How old is she? Like fucking 6
She
million?
cannot be killed. She cannot be killed. She has Keith Richards disease.
Oh,
No,
God.
she's made
She
of
has
enough
no living
plastic.
tissue on her at all. She will not rot.
No, she's
No.
made out of that shit like you know that stuff that's on the plastic bags from the grocery store. That's her.
No, she's
Yeah,
No,
fake.
she's
zip-
not. I think she's officially non-biodegradable at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Polystyrene. Somebody made a model of her. She died sometime in the early 1980s, but they made a model, and
Yeah,
they just
That
went
woman
with
is
it.
seriously, that woman is starting to give Madame Tussauds the creeps. This is just
Yeah, she walks in there, they'll think the exhibits have come alive.
Listen to the show.
It's like a creepy living wax museum. It just.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But you know she has the money to have us killed, right?
Oh well.
You know what? I'd be honored if she listened to our podcast and got this far and was like, "Those motherfuckers." I'd be like, "There you go." So all I can say is, Sheriff, if you're listening, spank you very much.
oh yeah.
So-
Thank you, Cher. You were really hot in the '80s.
Yeah, totally. I would have done you back before I was born. Nowadays, I could find better glory.
Ooh, calm down, take it easy. Anyway, well, there's Phyllis Diller and now Cher. Next week, you'll hear AlphaOmegaSin go on and on and on about Annie Potts. So,
Yeah.
Brittle bones.
About
And
BR.
you know what the difference is between Phyllis Diller and Cher?
about 400 years, I don't know.
Absolutely fucking nothing.
Oh,
my.
Because it is like fucking a corpse.
about
Ben,
about $100 worth of plastic surgery, actually. is the
you
difference.
said that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for halftime.
Halftime was awesome. This was my favorite halftime
This is the
officially.
best. Tell us down in the comments section or on the Facebook page. Was this in fact the best halftime in the history of the 8-Bit Podcast? Please let us know. Drop us a line down below if you would.
Have we no more mail?
Huh? Nope.
I'm in the mood to answer one more question.
You want to answer one more question? All right. Oh, you know what? There's actually one more piece of mail, and we're going to do this just for Sainted Magnus. This comes from Navion209, and he says, "Hello, my fellow 8-Bit Podcast.
Hello.
Number one, not on a podcast. You mind your manners. Number two, he says, let me start off by saying that you guys fucking rock. My question is in regards to the recent announcement of the channel G4 all but being canceled, or as they are saying, quote unquote, rebranding. So my question is, are you guys surprised that this channel lasted this long?
Yes.
Well, we were going to talk about this already, weren't we?
We were, but it kind of got bumped from the lineup. So I figured, why not? You want to answer some questions, Saint Magnus? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think, well, we didn't have G4 over here, but I watched G4 to watch, to follow E3.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. How many fucking teeth fucking jobs have they had on there? Boob jobs and facelifts and Botox and just general fakeness in one.
Are you sure you're not
TV
talking about
studio.
NBC?
It feels like NBC, but geez,
I think Jon Stewart once put it best with where the news anchors are concerned. CNN has the sexy librarians, and Fox News just has the porn queens.
Actually, I thought Fox News just had the janitors who just happen to own suits.
Well, I was gonna say,
Anyways,
speaking of NBC,
continuing on.
NBC does actually own G4. They're the ones
They
who
do,
went ahead
don't
with
they?
this- Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the ones who went ahead with this whole. Well, we're gonna take this entire thing, turn it inside out, and turn it into something better, or something like that.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
it's-
they're gonna appeal to the douchebags that they thought they were already appealing to. The guys in their late 40s who still argue about what's better, Call of Duty or Battlefield.
oh god, not that old chestnut.
Well, I've only seen the programming once or twice, and that's what it seems like to me. It was very, what's the word I want to use? Insulting.
My
Yeah.
Modern Warfare versus Battlefield 3 video is the gift that keeps on giving. So if it weren't for that argument, goddamn.
Well, you already know where I stand on that. So, oh, but you just watch the E3 coverage, and what do you see? iJustine. iJustine. The one person you'd actually want to take a compass and stab yourself in the eye just to not look at her dopey face again.
Oh my god. Well, that's the thing I always hated about G4. They'd get some chick who literally, I mean, in the case of Sarah Jean Underwood, in the case of Sarah Jean Underwood, she was literally Playmate of the Year, and that was the full extent of her qualifications to be a journalist. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. And so it was easier for them to just take these women from Maxim magazine or Playboy or whatever and just say, okay, now you are a fucking journalist. So that's the main problem I have with G4. They have so many people like that, like Olivia Munn or whoever the fuck, and that's basically the whole channel now. Ever since Adam Sessler left, yeah.
I cannot tell you how out of touch I feel right now because I have no idea who in the fuck you're talking about.
You're out of touch. Come on.
What did I tell you about getting sued?
What do I say about Hall & Oates?
Oh,
I've told you
here
once,
she
I've told
come.
you 1,000 times. Your mustache is not thick enough to sing that song.
That's it. I'm growing a mustache right now just so I can.
Yes. So you're gonna be John Oates. See, that
I
doesn't
will.
sound-
I will. I'm gonna put a little fluff on it. She's a man eater.
Yeah.
Watch out, boy. She'll chew you up. Anyway. So anyway, so that's what we had to say about G4 TV. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. Now, this just in. Big news, apparently. Silent Hill producer calls out fans over the Book of Memories. What is this, not Sainted Magnus, Razor Fist? What's all the doings here?
He is saying, okay, flat out on his blog, his official blog. This is Tom Hewlett, mind you, the guy who has been the head of Silent Hill for so long. Look, this blowback is not just from hardcore fans, but this is what he's saying. So let me just throw this here. He threw an image of Dissidia Final Fantasy, Theatrhythm, and Persona 4 Arena up on his personal blog, and then he accompanied it with the text, "Look around, Silent Hill fans, it really is just you," suggesting that it's just a spin-off, so don't take it so seriously, basically, and you're the problem. My problem with this is it's not just Silent Hill fans that are bashing this. It's anybody at all who's coming in contact with this game or even seeing it in the most casual capacity imaginable. We're talking people. They posted this on the Facebook. Anybody who so much as likes the Silent Hill Facebook page, I have yet to see a positive comment on anything posted on the Silent Hill official Facebook about Book of Memories. This game shouldn't be made. Plain and simple. Obviously, I'm a hardcore Silent Hill fan, so you have to take that into account. But I am not seeing any positivity from even the most casual, even the least committed of even horror fans of any description. I mean, Yell Chaos. You're not even a Silent Hill fan. Does this sound like a good idea to you? An isometric dungeon crawler made out of a horror game?
No, it doesn't. Not in the slightest. And I also don't think it's great business practice to spit in your fans' face when they disagree with you.
I know, right?
And this seems to be a simple disagreement. This seems to be a personal attack over what seems to be a simple disagreement. And
yes.
I'm actually, I'm kind of taken aback by this because I'm reading this as you're spitting it to the audience here, and I am disgusted by this sort of behavior.
Well, that seems to be the business practice nowadays.
Yeah, it seems like more and more developers are getting really combative with their audience.
Well,
this is what's been going on, or what was going on in indie music for many years. Like, well, then you just don't get it. It's like, that argument works if you're making art, but you're not making art. You're making a consumer product.
Exactly.
And you cannot. Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say one of the main reasons why they're getting so fucking vocal about everything is because of the advent of things like Twitter, where they can immediately respond and have people respond to them about things. So they feel they have to go and usher their opinion out onto the internet for everybody to see to try to go and quell the negativity and everything. Meanwhile, all that does is stir up all the people that were the naysayers to begin with.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're just going to go and like, okay, you already heard us earlier. Me and Razorfist both had already claimed that this is a piece of shit. Okay, I honestly wouldn't mind if this game existed if it didn't have the fucking Silent Hill brand slapped lazily onto it to make sure that it moved units. That's the only reason why it's called Silent Hill. It has fuck all to do with Silent Hill. It is nothing but a cash-in. Anybody with half a fucking lick of common sense, sorry, half a lick of common sense could be able to see this from a mile away. And for this dude to say, "Oh, well, look around you. This stuff is going on everywhere." Well, those are actually done well.
That is true.
Okay, if somebody's going to go and take any kind of franchise and spin it on its head, okay, Super Mario RPG. Pretty sure Super Mario was a platformer the entire time. Should it really be a role-playing game? Well, I'm sure that if you asked some people back then, they would have said no, but it was done well. Is this being done well? No, it has no fucking reason to even exist somewhat like that. You don't go... It just makes no fucking sense. It just... Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, but who's leaping to the fence of this man? The Jim Sterling.
Oh,
naturally.
Really?
Fucking idiot.
Naturally. Listen, Jim Sterling, you bulbous Cockney shitheel. If you were spinning this story any harder, you'd be able to mix paint in your fucking bladder. I am sick and fucking tired of you immediately attacking fans. I am so sick and tired of you being such a contrarian bullshit artist and constantly taking the opposing view for no other reason than to accrue views for your atrocious news blog of a fucking site. We're sick of you. Go away. Beat yourself on the shores of the fucking Atlantic as far as I'm concerned. I am sick and tired of your goddamn face.
What's the nearest ocean to him?
Actually, I think he moved to Kentucky. So
you know why he did that? You know why he did that? So he could never be beached. You cannot be beached without a beach. You know, I really hope that I really hope we never find ourselves at a similar, media event as Jim Sterling, because we'll all get stuck to him from gravitational pull.
We're like, quick, run away! Shit, we can't!
And then he will try to eat us.
You know,
and
if we're gonna do,
that's why this
hate-bit sandwich.
We can only sell that merchandise once.
But we can only talk about Jim Sterling for so long because this is the Hate Bit podcast, not the Hate Bit Hogcast. You know what I mean? So let's.
And speaking of blue ribbon hogs, well, I thought that was funny, but fuck you guys.
I thought you were actually following suit into another thing.
Yeah, I thought that.
I know, but I thought I was too, but turns out I wasn't.
That pun was hickory smoked, my friend.
But
well, thank you. Oh, that's exactly what I needed, Mr. Fist. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
But speaking of bacon fat, going on in Montreal. Eidos Montreal, what we're dubbing the Eidos Montreal encounter has.
One minute.
What? What's that?
Word up, Canada. There we go.
Word up. Yes, if you're from Canada, we appreciate you. If you're from Montreal, does it smell like bacon? Please let us know in the section provided.
It smells like garlic.
It smells like straight up G style or something.
It's French Canada.
Oh yeah, that's true. They love gravy. They love gravy over there.
Did you just say French Canada?
Yes.
French Canada.
Okay.
All right.
Why not?
Well, I don't like the French, and to be fair, the Canadians are cool, but when you get French Canadians, they're like, yeah. So to not get the city right is cool.
Anything, you're not doing well for yourself.
I know. I don't care. Fuck them.
But they do have a really nice tower, though.
Well, the French. I've jumped up.
There was an encounter with Eidos Montreal. They had to let somebody go. Now, Razorfist told me, and I lost the thing. But Razorfist, who was it that was let go over making some, shall we say, conservative estimates on his Facebook?
Blake Marsh, one of the people who worked on Deus Ex Human Revolution over at Eidos Montreal. He said, and he's a conservative in Canada, which already is like an executable offense. But he basically said there's some left-wing politician in Canada. I'm not exactly well acquainted with the controversy myself, but Pauline Moreau, I think. Moreau. I'm going to go with Moreau. And they were, I guess, some gunman tried to kill him. Her, rather. And he said on his Facebook, how dare he have a political opinion. He said, I give this bitch a month before someone with better aim comes forth and does what must be done. And I think on Twitter he said something to the effect of, you just can't find a good hitman these days or something like that. Which, man, I heard much worse things during, the Iraq War leveled at George W. Bush. But okay, let's fire this guy for having a political opinion. So I just think it's utter BS. It's political correctness, and I think there's no greater enemy to any kind of entertainment or any kind of art of any description than political correctness. I will shout that from the mountaintops. Period. I don't think political correctness has any place in anything deemed even marginally artistic.
Absolutely. And if you disagree, fuck you.
Yeah, like fuck you, Jim Sterling. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
See,
Poor Jim
I just
Sterling.
hate-
Beat the fuck out of him on there.
My main thing is I just hate whenever anything that you do in your own time, your own social life, somehow is supposed to have this big adverse effect on what you do professionally. I don't see how
Well,
the
isn't
two.
it funny how, especially in recent years, all the people who say that, when you say things like this, you're being paranoid, but how personal privacy in this day and age has essentially completely dissolved, and everyone's in a big hurry to deny that it hasn't.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, and
So
if
if you
you
got-
have anybody ever, like, if you're popular whatsoever and people have you under a microscope, if you even fucking fart publicly, it's going to be retweeted, reblogged, and re-uploaded
It's
at least 30 or 40 times.
the stupidest part of this, I think, is that the police are actually investigating this guy over his comments. Look,
Yeah, they
guys, this government is. Okay, I'm not going to go off on a rant here, but a government should not be large enough to be able to investigate you for having an opinion. That is fucking bullshit.
Oh,
And
no, see,
he made an
here's
innocent
the thing, don't
comment.
justify it.
He made an innocent comment on Facebook. This guy should not be under investigation with the cops.
How old is this guy?
Not a threat. It's not aggression. It's a guy with an opinion who's pissed off. People get very pissed off when they talk about politics. It happens to me.
Yeah.
But
Well, do we know how old this guy is?
I don't know. Probably in his 20s. He's a video game developer, so you can
Okay,
assume
yeah, so
probably
take that into account. A video game developer, probably in his early 20s, said some stupid shit. Some young kid said something stupid on Facebook. Why is this news?
Exactly. Why is it newsworthy enough that Lieutenant Guy Lepont of Surette du Quebec is actually
Very good.
investigating this guy and making these statements about how now he's under investigation and we take these threats very serious. Threats? Really?
He made
Wait,
an
having an opinion and actually directly threatening somebody are completely different things. I really think that Oprah should explode, but I'm not saying I'm going to go to her house and strap dynamite to her fucking shins and do it myself. Okay, there's a big fucking difference out there, and I completely agree with you. It's fucked up that they're overstepping their fucking boundaries, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna throw our weight around. We feel the need to go and actually fucking investigate all this. It's a bunch of bullshit, man.
Yeah, before you know it, a whole bunch of French Canadian, early 20s video game developers are all going to be in camps.
God.
This message has been brought to you by the American Free Press.
Yay.
Uh,
And the UK arm of the Free Press as well.
See, there you go. For those of you who know who the American Free Press is, that's going to be fucking hilarious. Anyway, what else here? Are we done with the Montreal encounter?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
The
I
Montreal
think so.
screw job.
That could be a whole podcast right there.
Yeah, dude, that
Did you
that would
see
be-
the arc at which the spit went right into his left nostril?
I got to see that it looked like it actually hit him on the side of the face, directly in the eye, and got in his hair. It was everywhere. It was
Yeah,
pretty
it was a
messy.
good one. It was a good messy one, and it wasn't from very far away, which is
It was
we-
direct, and it had the shotgun spray effect. It was pretty cool.
it did. It did. It was nice, and it was a good, great white Canadian loogie.
It's the United Kingdom in 1978.
There
Yes.
you go. Anyway, okay, moving on with the rest of our program here. We thank you for joining us on the Hate Bit Podcast, and we really enjoy you guys sticking around. If you've stuck around, I'm sure a lot of people have already tuned out. So I'm going to see what the angry video game nerd's up to.
Absolutely nothing at the moment because Mike Midsay seems to have hijacked his channel.
Oh well, there's that. Apparently there's now I'm not sure really how to lead into this, so I'm just going to say it outright. Apparently there has been public record that has suggested that over the last 10 years, Electronic Arts have been trying to buy Valve. Am I hearing this correctly?
For like the past 10 years, Electronic Arts has been trying to buy Valve repeatedly, and it's the reason why this is hilarious and noteworthy is the shoe is firmly on the other foot now. I think Valve could buy EA at this point.
They could.
Actually, I think if I had a handful of Mullo Club money, I could probably buy EA at this point. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but yeah, that's the story. Apparently, over the past 10 years, it was revealed through insider documents that EA has been trying to buy Valve repeatedly and failing.
Yes, that's true. But this is what makes me laugh. You can buy EA now with a bent paperclip and the fuzzer at the bottom of your fucking shoes. that's how much money EA's worth at the moment, because half the games that release are fucking worthless. Half the fucking business practices are questionable at best.
Well, make no mistake, EA is still worth plenty of money. They're just not making any of it back anymore.
Nope, because they're screwing us, and we are too busy being wise to the game now.
Now, do we have any sort of conspiracy theories or ulterior motives why this was, or was this simply just, time to take over the business?
Time to take over the business by the sounds of it.
Any speculation at all? Because, we're known for speculation here on the Hate Bit Podcast.
Oh, yes, we are.
I don't know. I think that they want to be able to jump into a much broader market. That, and let's be fair, Valve is a golden company. So for them to be
I don't
able
know.
to say
Now that we
they
heard
have the-
last week about the hardware thing, but I don't know.
Yes, the Valve submarine. That's what.
Well,
that's what.
Hey,
we called it.
let's be fair. We can associate EA with the 3DO.
Oh, $3 only. That's how much it's fucking worth now. Yes, eBay. That's how much it's worth. Not fucking £300.
No, but in general, I don't know. It's ironic because we had talked about Electronic Arts being bought out. Then we hear rumors of this, and I just think it's funny that I can't imagine Electronic Arts really buying out anybody in their current shape. Keep in mind, will they stay like that? That remains to be seen. But I can't imagine them currently trying to buy out anybody. I think they're trying to right their own ship before they decide to go and wreak havoc upon somebody else's and then claim it as their own. But
Which would be the smart thing to do. However, if you've been paying attention to this podcast, smart is not really their thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a very valid point. We're talking about Electronic Arts, and doing the best thing is not exactly in their portfolio, and probably never will be.
Nope, I don't think so neither.
No, they like to stick their dick no matter where it is. Just put a dick over there. Put it over there now. Wait. Make a mess over there and then claim that you had nothing to do with it and then go put it over there.
Yep.
That sounds like a sound, battle plan to me.
Yeah, it is a battle plan.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking jackknife power on them through the fucking floor. What do you think?
Right through the floor?
Right through the floor, the whole company.
All right. Well, at this point, this podcast is worth just about as much as Electronic Arts.
What do you mean?
Hey, you know what? You just gave us very little credit, and I think that's terrible.
No, I think we've done quite well. They destroyed this credibility over the course of 30 years. We've done it in 6 months.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that, young man.
I know.
Anyway, so trying to buy Valve. Hey, you know what?
Still
We're getting towards the end of the show,
Oh, we know.
Are we?
Yeah, well, it's time.
okay.
We're gonna do a great big feature right now. It's something that we've been meaning to do for a while, and I know you guys, the Hater Nation, you like it so much. But we are getting closer to the end of the program, so we'd like to thank you for stopping by and spending one more great big segment of time, one more week with us here on the Hate Bit Podcast. But now, oh, this is a big one.
Do me a
You're
favor.
gonna like this.
Do me a
What's
favor.
that?
Stop kissing their asses.
Well, they're gonna leave, and then you're gonna have to go back to shining
What's
shoes.
the matter? You don't like any ass play there, Sainted?
No, I'm kind of straight, to be fair.
Well, our
Oh.
fans do. They're very progressive.
Yes.
Yes,
But
yes,
they're
they're
very
very
sexually
progressive,
liberated.
and not to mention they're also, they're very quick to point out that I'm racist.
Yeah.
So, which means that they're poignant and so
No,
on.
it just means we coming for you, nigga.
That's true. That's true.
Now,
Now we
I
talked
No,
about
now,
comedy-
now you are the racialist.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh well. I'll find
Wait,
something else.
it's so, and you know what? You're taking Yell Chaos's title away from him. That's just
I
terrible.
know, right? Well, then I'll go do something else. Okay, Alex Jones is a twit. There, we switch places, and
Yes.
so please send all your hate mail to me this week. And
He
so
sure is. That was a fun argument in the comments section.
that was a lot of fun. I cannot believe how much effort was put into that conversation, that exchange.
I just saw the whole thing and I was just sat there laughing my ass off at all of you.
Well, and then I got drug into this whole thing. Like, oh, Yell Chaos is a libertarian. I'm like, when did I say that?
Yeah. Since when did you announce your political stand?
I've always announced my political stand. My political stand. Fuck everyone.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All
Doesn't
of
make you a
them.
liberal. does it?
So yes, I am a little bit conservative.
Yep.
That was a
all,
joke.
all the people on
Anyway,
the West Coast tend to be. Kind of the way it
they
is.
do,
now.
they do, and that's why I say fuck everyone.
Exactly.
Now, if I were going to go into great detail, I'd say I was a Republican, but that's another story for another time. It is time for the Hate Bit retrospective. Now, guys, I got to give you a little bit of a backstory here why we're having a Hate Bit retrospective. I've been trying to shoehorn this into a podcast for the last 2 episodes now, and I figured now was the time. Sainted Magnus said, you know what, we should do it now, and I said, you're right. There's been all kinds of talk about what's next on the docket for the Nintendo 3DS. A lot of people suggesting that it's going to be Majora's Mask 3D. I'm against this, and I'll tell you why. I initially I was anyway, that there's going to be more remakes, and Nintendo tried this on the Nintendo DS to bring 64 remakes to the handheld forefront, and it's an interesting idea. But now I've decided, you know what, I'm in favor of it. But let's get some other. Let's do not just Zelda. Zelda's been given too much credit in recent years. So what I'm asking my boys right here on the Hate Bit podcast is, what N64 games need to see the light of day once more, in whatever form. Now, Razor Fist, that was your system, man. I know that. 64,
was.
that was you. Tell me, what were the games that just did it and think you need to see now?
I would say, as bad as the last one was, and actually I'm a bit of a defender of the last one. I didn't think it was that bad. I don't think it's that good, for the record, either. But I would say Perfect Dark needs another go. I think they could make a really good Perfect Dark game if they tried. If Rare was up to the task, I think they could really make it happen. It's too good of a game. The first one was too good to let that franchise die. It was way too good. So I would throw that one out there. What about Sainted? What about you, man?
The Nintendo 64 Star Wars games.
Oh, Shadows of the Empire, man. How
Shadows
awesome
of the
would
Empire.
that be?
Rogue Squadron 3D was fucking brilliant. It was one of the best space flight simulator games I ever played, even though most of it was set on a planet. Racing. Episode 1 racing. Probably the only good thing that came out of that film was that racing game, because, as you know, I am a big fan of racing games, and that was fucking phenomenal. You could just play that game and unlock all the crafts, and there were so many different ones, and some secret ones, and it was really cool. But another one I enjoyed was Battle for Naboo. That was a good one as well. My friend had that.
I never got to try that one.
It's actually like a episode 1 version of Rogue Squadron, which is not too bad. Pokemon games. Pokemon Stadium on there was fantastic. Come on, Yo, Chaos, you're supposed to pipe up somewhere.
Well, I will eventually, but you know what? This conversation is lacking passion.
Well, give us some passion then, boy. Come on.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I was hoping excuse me. I was hoping Razorfish was going to give us some passion because he was tough. See, you guys missed it. Before, Razorfish just goes on and on about how great things are before the podcast, then he gets into character, comes on here, and says, fuck everyone.
No, I mean, that was the only one I could think of.
I know, but
that would be the most prominent example I could think of. I also throw... What?
You should name some others then.
Well, what I'm saying is, do me a favor. Walk me through it. When did you get the N64? How old were you? Was it Christmas time? Tell me a story.
I got it really late. I got it. God, I was in high school. It was like 2000. I got it finally because like I said, every time I get a Nintendo console, it's because of a Donkey Kong game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it took them
a while. Wait a while, yeah.
It took them quite a while to get Donkey Kong 64 out there. So I got the green one with that came with the expansion pack and came with Donkey Kong 64. So that's where I roll, and I went with that because, like I said, I was more. I still think an N64 is a superior system to the PlayStation 1. Come at me. Go ahead. Come on. No, but
I can't be
think
bothered.
it's way better. I think it's a way better system than the PlayStation 1. I think it had better graphics. It had better games. It just had a slightly smaller library because games were harder to develop on that console.
Agreed.
But I think the real shining stars in that constellation were much brighter than the other games that were on the market, quite frankly. I mean, come on. When you had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, when you had Donkey Kong 64, when you had Perfect Dark and GoldenEye 007, I mean, how could you be mad that you purchased a Nintendo 64? You couldn't be. It was too good. I mean, and for some people, Banjo-Kazooie, although I've never played it, so I don't know if it's any good.
Well, go down to your local retro store and buy it because it is actually a good game. But
I think a
Unfortunately, it costs
Banjo-Tooie.
$150 now.
yeah, be prepared to do a lot of collecting though, because there's a hell of a lot of collecting to do on that game. I'm talking like collecting fucking pennies for the rest.
Well, that was the style at the time on platformers. Hey, go find something.
Exactly. But there was one thing I liked about the 64, and it was the history of it. The whole thing behind it. Because if you look at the history, it was the first outing of Mario in a 3D environment, a proper 3D environment where you can control everything, even though the camera was fucking garbage. It was the first Zelda that was in 3D as well. It opened up people's eyes, saying that there is actually a first-person shooter you can use a joypad for, with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So I think it was more of a. It wasn't, in my eyes, it wasn't a great system. But it was a system that showed us that it can be done. Yeah. Are you with me on that?
Well, I can't say I'm so much with you. One thing that I say and always has saddened me about the Nintendo 64 is it's such an advanced piece of hardware. You compare it line for line, spec for spec against the PlayStation 1, it blows it out of the fucking water. The only problem was because it was so complex, because the old man, you guys know who I'm talking about, decided that it should only be used for the most advanced game developers in the world. And you have to realize there's only like 10 of those guys at the time. This is 1996, I think, or 1997.
96.
And we got this really advanced piece of hardware that never really got a chance because no one knew what the fuck to do with it. Similar plight that's going on with the PlayStation 3. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yes.
But you talk about this advanced hardware, and that's what saddens me. However, the N64 is also known for a lot of crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even say anything. You guys already thought of Superman 64, didn't you?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Every last one of you thought of that right away, didn't you? Because it's there. Now it's just that.
Yep.
Why
That was the
did
thing,
you do that?
When you tried to port a game to the N64, it was always crap, and it made every version of the game crap. That was the worst part about it. You ended up with games like Daikatana, and games like that. Any of those third-party games that were just or Mission Impossible or whatever. Actually, I kind of liked Mission Impossible for N64, but it had some issues.
Resident Evil 2 was a pretty decent port.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2.
And that cartridge weighs a ton.
Oh yeah,
Resident Evil
that
2
cartridge is a defensive mechanism.
Resident Evil 2
backbone
totally on the N64. Resident Evil 2, at least up until they had ported the game over to the GameCube, it was the best version of the game. virtually no loading times, better graphics. The cutscenes had to be compressed down so they don't look as good as on the PlayStation version, but the PlayStation version cutscenes don't look that good either because they're compressed on there too.
Yes.
So it's really the best version to play. At least it was up until they brought over the GameCube version. So that was a huge feather in their cap. It was kind of validation for the Nintendo fanboys like me who were like, this is a better system technically speaking.
But how long was it after the release of Resident Evil 2?
It was a long time after that.
Oh,
It
that
came
was
out-
that was
years, right?
one of the last games.
I think-
well, one of the last relative game. Or
yeah, it was
relative,
like
rather.
2000 or 99 or something like that.
I'd say around about 99, 2000 because it was a long time after. I know that much because I remember seeing it new, and I bought Resident Evil 2 second hand at the time, and it was like fucking 10 quid.
Yeah, wasn't Code Veronica out at the time whenever they finally ported that?
I think so. I think it was just coming out on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, because
So,
I
yeah.
remember like Nemesis had already come out, and then like Code Veronica, and I'm just like, wow, it's just finally coming out, but it was a good port.
It was a really good port. You know,
And there were not all the ports were great. Like anybody's play StarCraft on N64?
no.
I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
I actually have the game.
V-Rally.
Ooh.
V-Rally on the PlayStation was highly more playable than it was on the 64, even though the 64 had a better frame rate on it.
Oh, here's a port that was really good. The San Francisco Rush games were always better on Nintendo 64 until they made their way to Dreamcast.
I agree.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah, like those games. Like I had played them in the arcade, liked them a whole lot. Played them on PS1, didn't like them nearly as much. Played them on 64, liked them a whole bunch. Played them on Dreamcast, and I thought it was like a perfect arcade port. They were very, very fun. And for anybody who hasn't played those, you should, because they're damn fun games.
didn't they put a Wipeout game on the 64?
Yeah, Wipeout 64.
Yeah, and they all. But speaking of futuristic races, there was also Extreme G Racing on there with
Yeah.
bikes. That was fantastic.
Do you realize you could put any noun and verb with the number 64 after it, and someone would believe that game exists?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like masterpieces like Castlevania 64.
Oh gosh. That
No,
I was
honestly,
hoping
you could say like Bloody Fist 64, and someone would say, "Oh yeah, I remember playing that."
I was hoping that we wasn't going to mention that fucking game, but oh well.
See, that's the thing. So, no offense to Castlevania fans, but anytime someone tells me how great that series is, I just remember those games. I'm like, my memories completely invalidate anything you're saying to me right now.
Yeah. It was interesting though, because there were some games that the 64 was the only system that was powerful enough to handle at the time, and a lot of them were arcade ports.
Mm.
And one of them I remember that I still love to this day is Mace: The Dark Age. Great fucking fighting game. It was like 3D, kind of the precursor to Soul Calibur,
Mm-hmm.
and with a bit of Mortal Kombat thrown in. And what a blast to play that game was. But that was a good example of what I'm talking about. 64 was just a beast graphically, and there was just a lot of games you could not bring to any other system aside from that.
And look at what it did for some of the first party titles. For example, Smash Brothers came out on the 64. The Pokemon series was brought to your TVs for the first time. Apart from it being in the Super Game Boy. There was the most useful fucking the transfer pack. That was one of the most useful peripherals that Nintendo had ever brought out. You could use it with both the Pokemon Stadium games. You could use it with Perfect Dark. Providing you had the Game Boy Color version of Perfect Dark. So it was really an inspirational. I stand by my previous statement. It was an influential system. It did a lot of firsts for Nintendo, and it really is a historic system.
And it's worth mentioning that while the PS1 was a massive success, and it's still kind of vague. Most console wars were kind of, you knew there was a clear winner and a clear loser.
Mm.
Like with the first big console war, it's definitely Super Nintendo ended up winning because Sega just kind of faded out at the end.
Well, technically, can I just stop you there?
Okay.
You've got to go off the regions, really, because Nintendo was huge in America.
Yeah.
You know that living there yourself. In Europe, Sega was the king over here. So technically, it's still equal today, in my opinion.
I don't know. It really appeared that Sega ran out of steam toward the end. They didn't release as many games towards the end, and they appeared to be focusing their resources on Saturn, and we all know how that worked out. So,
Well, not to mention all the money they
I
threw.
think the first time around, it was definitely there was a clear winner and a clear loser. With the most recent console generation, it was definitely the PS2 won, hands down, no question. Xbox started to pull a little closer toward the end, but still nowhere near what the PS2 sold. But with the 64 and the PS1, I really don't know who won there. Because the 64 would come, like, the PS1 would just kind of have bulk. There was a lot of games, and there were some huge sellers, but man, N64 would be like, okay, but then we'll release this, and it would be like it would shatter sales records.
Yeah.
And so you were never quite sure who was really on top. Like, was it Nintendo or was it Sony? I'm still not sure to this day who won that round of console war.
Well,
And it's interesting to say because usually that sort of thing is gauged by the amount of third-party support and retail cooperation and so on and so forth. And it's interesting to note that because the PlayStation 1, you look at it, had this massive third-party support and just an unbelievable amount of games that are available. And granted, a lot of them have not aged very well. And then you look at the N64, which did pretty damn well without any of that. So there's something to be said there.
but you can actually look at Nintendo's first party lineup on that system, and it is a damn strong system. And when they did have first third party support like Rare, it was still they still churned out gold. As we mentioned before, this Rare gave us Perfect Dark, they gave us GoldenEye 007, they gave us bloody Donkey Kong Country 64. There was a whole list of games that they gave us on that system, and some of them are still playable today, and they deserve to be either brought back in like a collector's box or something to commemorate the fact that the 64 was actually a good console.
Oh yeah.
In that generation, the fifth generation of gaming, the three main systems we had was the Sega Saturn, the PlayStation, and the 64. The 64 technically was superior in terms of components. The Saturn was better than the PlayStation in terms of components, but those two systems were a bitch to make games for. If you knew what you were doing with it, then you could churn out some absolute fantastic titles. The PlayStation was easy to fucking develop for, which is why, if it's easy to develop for, people are going to make shovelware for it. That's how it's always been since the NES days. So, my point is that the fact that
something very familiar about all of this.
I'm getting to the point now. The fact that the PlayStation had that many games, most of them are all third party. The Nintendo 64 managed to hold them off with first party titles and a few rare titles, to hold that onslaught of how many great titles were coming out on the PlayStation. Some of the sales on some of the PlayStation 1 games didn't do as well as what the 64 did with the first party title, with one first party title, may I add. So that's my view on the whole thing. So Alpha, you've been quiet in there. You got any 2 cents to throw into the?
Oh, I've actually just been sitting here with I was conducting a list of random games because you were talking about earlier what games you'd like to see brought back from the 64 era, and I just started thinking of things that didn't get immediate sequels on GameCube, but like one of them is Doom 64. It could be argued that Doom 3 would be the successor, which I disagree. I'm talking about like a straight, old school Doom style shooter. Doom 64 was in its own thing, and at the time, Nintendo still had the very kid-friendly image. It still does, but during 64 era, it was still relatively squeaky clean. Doom 64 is filled with satanic imagery and tons of violence. So that definitely helped, and I rented that game I don't even know how many fucking times. It has exclusive weapons and monsters in it, and is really fucking fun. And visually is really, really cool looking. Like, if you've ever played that and played the other Doom games, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's so good. So very good. I'd love to see just a follow up to it. And let's see, another one which I'd mentioned this a while ago. With the Wii U coming out, I would like to see another Pokemon Snap game because I feel like the tablet controller would work really well as like a makeshift camera in it. I would just hope that they'd make the game much longer, because you can go through Pokemon Snap in like an hour, if that.
Yeah.
And get done with the entire game. Fun game, don't get me wrong, but
isn't Africa kind of that? Just a kind of an extension of the Pokemon Snap idea.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I still think back then, they had the Pokemon printing stations at Blockbuster and everything, and how fucking exciting it was to like go there and be like, I'm gonna print these out, and then you just stick them on the dumbest bullshit ever, and you show your friends, and they're like, they act like they're excited, but they're not, because they're just really busy trying to show you their Charizard that came up out of volcano and shit. Like, look, I got the Zapdos over here, and oh, look, I got so many points for this one. So nobody gave a shit about each other's pictures. They just want to gloat. But fucking with the news of Microsoft apparently putting Rare in their place and everything, it made me think about Killer Instinct Gold and how we haven't had a proper sequel to that. So no Killer Instinct 3 yet. But yeah, Killer Instinct Gold, absolute shit. It was just so fucking badass. It was combo centric, crazy stuff. It looked really good, played really well. It was missing a couple characters, but regardless, it was still a very, very badass game, and a sequel is definitely in order. And this one I just kind of picked from left field for shits and giggles, and I wish I owned the game. I've only played ROMs of it, unfortunately, but that's Snowboarding Kids 2. If anybody has ever played the first
big one, that was that PS1 or was that N64? Was 1080 snowboarding on?
That's on.
That's a Nintendo property.
That is a Nintendo.
Yeah,
so I was gonna.
They actually made a sequel to that one on GameCube.
Because I was always hearing that one was great. I never did play it.
That's
It's very good.
In my opinion, that's like it's supposed to be realistic but arcade style at the same time. That's a really good game, but they made 1080 snowboarding Avalanche on GameCube.
I'm looking at it now, actually.
That game's also very good. And I also want to mention Wave Race, but they made Blue Storm on the GameCube too. Unfortunately, nobody played either of those games, seemingly, because they sold for shit. But
I love those games.
I enjoyed Wave
I
Race.
love them too, but the GameCube, last gen, it suffered.
Yeah, if you didn't support the GameCube, you're a fuck.
Yeah.
The poor little GameCube, man. They had so many good fucking first-party games that just came and went, and nobody gave a fuck about. But
well, don't go too far. That might be another podcast in and of itself.
Yeah, and if you guys actually want to hear us banter on about that, by all means.
If you enjoy the 8-bit retrospective, please let us know in the space down below.
You never know. There might be a future video.
Hey, that actually rhymed, but I mean, those are
Poet
just
didn't know it.
God.
That's all I was saying was that's just some of the games I could think of.
Oh, okay, and I was saying Poet didn't know it. Anyway, I guess it's time for me to get to my ulterior motive, and I want to tell you guys a story. I had a very rocky history with the N64, and didn't really begin to love it until well after the GameCube was in full swing. For a while I was kind of way behind, and I find that's the best way. Once the system's released, you can get a real air of the entire experience. But something that I was very sad, and only a few years ago I found out about something called the N64 DD. Does anybody remember this one?
Oh, the disk drive.
Yeah, it's the disk drive, only available in Japan.
Bastards.
And well, apparently was a very, very, very costly unit. I think at the time it was projected to cost as much as, or what would have cost, $700 American in 1997 or 1998, which that's when I think the at that time the N64 was going for what, $199?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So that's a considerable chunk of change. And I've looked over the software that was available for for the N64 DD, and it's all DD. Makes me so excited when I hear two Ds right next to each other. Um,
Yes.
3D
Yeah,
Makes
you
a
know,
trouser snake tingle.
I know.
It's
I can't
because-
tell you. I can't tell you how excited. I can't tell you how excited when I get when I see 3Ds. You know, because then I think of Total Recall. But what was I saying
I
here?
think
Oh,
Daredevil.
you think? Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. Yeah, we talk about tits on this show. Anyway,
Or,
I'll let Cat
or
out the
your
bag.
3DS XL.
You were talking about the how costly the Nintendo
Yes, it was very
64
yes, it
DD
was very costly, and I've looked over the software library, and it's I think there's a dozen games for it, but that gets me to my ultimate point. What game do I think really needs to be given a remake? If they're going to give remakes to somebody, why not give it to this game from the N64 F-Zero X? Everyone remembers that one, right?
Oh, so
Fuck
Yes.
yeah, they
That was,
do.
that was my very favorite entry in the series. The original was great, but F-Zero X perfected it, and I don't think it's ever been done as good since.
I will defend the GameCube game to the death. That is
Yeah,
a good
I was gonna say that I actually hold
I
GX
don't
at the
well
highest
see
standard.
everyone badmouths the GameCube game. I don't see the GameCube game being any different from F-Zero X, with the exception of it is slightly faster and the graphics are far more refined.
yeah.
So
It's nothing to sneeze at. I have had a lot. I've accrued a lot of enjoyment from playing that game. It is incredible.
oh, I'm not
So-
badmouthing that game at all, not in the slightest. But the one that rings true for me is F-Zero X. Now, for those of you who don't know, on the N64 DD there was a expansion disc called the F-Zero X expansion pack. This was only available in Japan. Now there are features, select new tracks, new cars from what are new, whatever the hell they are, and
Call 'em
the,
ships.
the name escapes me. The name escapes me.
We'll call them ships.
There's ships, new ships, and also a track editor where you can build your own track. I suggest, and I know how powerful that 3DS is, and I know how much space is available on one of those game packs. If anybody's going to drop anything, and maybe I've suggested this before, but I would love to see F-Zero X, and as an edit in 3D, and as a bonus, they include the expansion pack from N64 DD. That's just me, and I think that's what needs.
F-Zero as a property is kind of fallen by the wayside. It's another one.
It's terrible.
It's
I
another
know.
one a bit like Star Fox, where it's just this gold mine waiting for someone to just make something. Come on, use those motion controls. Come on.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
kind of
And-
weird to think that two of their biggest franchises, regardless if they're getting ignored right now, two of their biggest franchises that could implement the features from both the Wii and the Wii U so perfectly seem to just not get any attention at all from Nintendo.
Well, Star Fox broke out of it a little bit when Shigeru Miyamoto said a couple weeks back that he's interested in making a Star Fox game. Okay, that's a feather in its cap, but okay, now shut up and make it.
yeah,
yeah.
here's the thing: being
on
interested
top
and
of
saying you're making it are two different things. And,
That's
and
exactly.
he's already a busy man to begin with, so as
Oh,
soon as he says, "Yeah, I'm making
He's
it,"
got.
I'll be like, "Fuck
He
yeah!"
spends a lot of time greasing his face. He doesn't have a lot of spare time.
That's true. That's very
And
true.
smiling. Got to keep in
And
mind that he's
smiling.
always smiling.
Do you have any idea how long it takes his face to get like that? Because you notice he just walks on like that. He doesn't like begin to smile or anything. They have to prep him for that.
I like to think that there's those invisible chain hooks from Hellraiser that are keeping his face like that, kind of like Chatterer. with
Actually, I
his
thought it
mouth
was. I thought
open.
it was like the eyelid hooks they used in Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. To do that.
Yeah,
No,
guys,
it's the
no,
hook show.
it's like a Joan. No, it's a Joan Rivers situation. They have a trained puppeteer off screen with a bunch
Oh,
deep sea fishing line, and that's how that goes.
so that's how that's done. Well, that's good to know. But yeah, I agree. It seems to me that Star Fox and F-Zero are those two franchises that I'm going to refer back to E3 because it seems to be still on everybody's mind. Don't you think if one of those games had been announced, that would have saved E3 right there, and everyone would have said,
It sure as
everyone,
fuck would have helped. It
everyone
would
would
have
have
been like,
sold
oh,
their
another good
souls
title.
in Nintendo had that happened.
Well, it would have been better than 3 Mario games and a fucking Pikmin game, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
And a
Oh,
theme.
hey. Yeah, and Nintendo Land. We can't forget the epicness that is Nintendo Land because they can't just mention it once. They mention it twice.
You see, that's how irrelevant Nintendo Land is because I don't want to fucking mention it.
Well, it's essentially, it looks like it's a mini game compilation with,
That's all it is.
I don't know, hyped up
It's
on cap.
fucking.
Who knows? It's
all
tech
it
demo.
is a bunch of tech demos. Hey, you want tech demos starring your favorite Nintendo characters? How about this, Nintendo? Nintendo games starring our favorite Nintendo characters. Wow. Whoa, what a fucking weird thing. But since you had mentioned the DD, which I'm really glad that you did, because the F-Zero track editor thing is something that always popped in my mind. Why didn't they just translate that and put it onto a compilation disc or something? But
I would just
they-
love to see how that would work.
dude, did you see the Mario studio that they had, Mario Paint, and then they had like the movie editor and things like that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be cool as shit if they made another Mario Paint game similar to that. Because I mean, obviously, there's a whole lot of shit that they could do, like record a 3D video of yourself, then you can edit it with effects and stuff, and a paint studio and whatnot. It'd be really cool. And I want another one of the from Mario Paint, the little fly swatter game, or the little music thing where you can edit the music and everything. I loved this shit out of that stuff when I was little.
What do
Oh.
you think? What do you think? A lot of these properties that are being left by the wayside. Do you think some of these are a situation where Nintendo's kind of looking at the other companies and saying, "Oh, let's not make that mistake"? Like, okay, a couple years back, people were saying Sony won E3 because they announced Twisted Metal. Okay,
And look how long that took to make.
that didn't work out so well. You think Nintendo's kind of looking at it like F-Zero is their Twisted Metal? You know what I mean? Like they don't want to release a new game and have it be kind of yawned at like a lot of the GameCube versions were.
Well, don't forget all the backlash from Metroid Other M as well. Maybe they're afraid to go with a straight up, pardon the expression. Well, actually, you notice. Do you think that maybe Metroid, because Metroid, F-Zero at some points, and Star Fox all take place in outer space? Do you think that maybe Nintendo's gun shy on the space thing now?
Yeah, but don't forget
they're
this
just
crossover that they teased.
That. That, by the way, that's my professional opinion.
Yeah, that's the edited version of his professional opinion.
Exactly.
Just wait for the unedited version on the 8-Bit Podcast DVD, Season 2.
Shameless plug.
There are no shameless plug because it's not even in production.
Whoa, that's different. I don't know. I really feel like they have so many fucking franchises they can do stuff with, but the thing is, they're spreading all of their fucking their developers very thin in a way, because they're like, okay, we want you to make casual, family-friendly games and work on stupid bullshit like Wii Music and Wii Sports and Wii what the fuck ever Resort. Make these kind of games. That'll be very cool. And then they're trying to go and make some of their core games at the same time. But I just feel like they really should have showed. They should have at the very least announced some of the stuff that they were going to be making. Because leaving as they did is silly
Mm-hmm.
and empty.
And on that note,
Don't you kind of miss the Nintendo 64 now?
I wish I'd
I don't
bought
know,
one. I did.
dude. I miss 4 controller ports just sitting there. Saying,
I miss
"Come on, play
controller
multiplayer."
ports, period.
You have USB
God.
ports.
I have
Huh?
too
You
many
have USB
wires in my
ports on the
fucking game.
USB, that's for storage. I
Dude,
guess that could be the same
No,
thing.
but there is one thing that we've missed out on that we should all slap ourselves in the face for.
Was there a glaring omission, Sainted Magnus? What did I miss?
We missed out. Right, you're gonna like this. We missed out playing on the couch with GoldenEye, just mucking about with timed mines.
Yes.
That was a blast.
It was a
That
Literally,
was a
haha,
fucking blast.
unintended. No, Nintendo 64 is like one of the best fucking party machines ever. You figure Mario Party
it's
got its
the
start
party.
on there.
Man, if you were having a birthday party in 1997, 98, 99, and you didn't have a copy of GoldenEye or Perfect Dark, you were a turd.
yes.
You did.
No
you
one
did-
liked you at all. They literally hated you. They came to your house and were like, "All right, let's play GoldenEye." Oh, I don't have it. I'm fucking leaving.
That's
Everybody
kind of
just
the way. That's kind of the way I would define
People
both.
would come over to your house and call you a faggot.
Can you guys agree with that? Could you define it this way as Nintendo 64 was the multiplayer machine and PlayStation 1 was kind of the single player machine?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
I mean, yeah, you had your multiplayer games. I played the fuck out of some Bushido Blade on PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah.
And I love Bushido Blade, but
Oh yes.
but it wasn't known for a lot of that stuff. You did have Tekken, but that's more or less 2-player. When you're talking about real multiplayer, you had 4-player on Nintendo 64, right? You were like, oh, 4-player, you know?
Yeah, when I think of multiplayer, I think of 4 players or more. I don't ever think of like 1v1. You know, that's just a mainstay and something that's been around forever. I mean, fuck, on Nintendo 64, we had some of the killer apps such as motherfucking Mario Kart 64 with its
Ooh.
battle mode, and you can go and start racing people and everything, and just like I can't count the amount of hours I wasted playing that game. And if people were just like, I don't feel like playing anymore, I'd still continue to sit there and play the game because it was that fucking fun. I just liked it a lot. You know, it was very, very cool. And then, you know, Razorfist had mentioned Perfect Dark earlier. You know, GoldenEye, absolutely amazing. I love the shit out of Perfect Dark just as much as far as multiplayer went.
Well, it was what they did when they lost the James Bond license. So they were like, well, what are we going to do? Well, let's make a better version of GoldenEye in the future with even cooler weapons. Let's do that. And they did. It did have some issues, though, when it would chug in 4-player matches sometimes. Like, if you would, say a bunch of explosions went off, you would have some frame rate issues.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Sure.
I remember the explosions. Like, I remember this very vividly now that you're mentioning it. A bunch of explosions are going off, and it's moving. I'm talking like you move at least 5 feet to the right, and it's just like one entire frame over. And you hear the sound effects. They're like the person's being damaged, and they're like, and then like the explosion sound is barely going off. So yeah, it got pretty fucking like bad on her.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Dude, Diddy Kong Racing was so fun. Diddy Kong Racing, game start.
Yay.
I don't know why I remember that part, but yeah.
Diddy
Is
Kong
that as far as you got?
Racing!
Still fucking awesome. though.
The
Dude,
stupidest thing was when you picked your racer in that game. Conker! Oh, come on.
Oh, dude. The 64 did do good for racing games, though. Mario Kart 64, the Extreme G games were mentioned, F-Zero, the fucking San Francisco Rush games. There was another racing game on there, which most people would look at and assume is really stupid, and I assure you 100% is fucking, like, it is tits. And that is Beetle Adventure Racing. The game seems like it would be fucking rubbish because it's based off of a fucking Volkswagen Beetle, but I assure you 100% it plays just like San Francisco Rush, but it's a tad bit more refined.
It was a party game.
Yeah,
Hey,
and then there's the, you know, the snowboard kids too. In the first one, it's like take 1080 snowboarding, combine that with Mario Kart, and there you go. It's pretty neat. So
Awesome.
I liked it for racing games quite a bit. Oh, and Ridge Racer 64. I don't know why. I forgot about that one.
Oh.
We did forget.
But still, you know, it had a lot to offer in fucking multiplayer, man. Just all around really fun-ass machine. I mean, Dreamcast had 4 controller ports, but I didn't party nearly as much on Dreamcast like I did on N64. Because I don't know. It just didn't have the same... Well, it also didn't have the same amount of time to be able to develop such a badass library like the 64 did, but still... Good times, and Sane was talking about couch gaming, and 64 is pretty much the epitome of that, and then some.
It's what couch gaming is.
Yeah,
it's that simple. It's what couch gaming is, and it should, you know, people should bring it back, and that's what I've been trying to promote this past couple of weeks. You know, couch gaming, bring it back, make videos.
See, there you go. And isn't it great? We're actually, you know, happy for once.
Yeah, we're positive, reminiscing, but see, people say it's because of nostalgia and everything. It's like, no, fuck you. That stuff's still fun to play.
No, you know, and it's just wonderful that we're, you know, all together and feeling good. And yes, Saint Magnus, I do promise you that the world will love again and things will be good once again. I'm glad we're happy. And you know what? It's happened again. You guys have wasted another perfectly good couple of hours listening to the Hate Bit podcast. We thank you for joining us. Been with me, I'm Yo Chaos. And joining me, as always, has been Razor Fist.
Just want to thank you for listening, and God fucking speed.
Super Saint Magnus.
Super combo.
And AlphaOmegaSin.
Be careful when the Power Rangers say it's morphin time, because they might actually be saying morphine time, and you will never know the difference, and it could be life or death.
Go, go, Smackhead Rangers.
Oh.
Inject it there.
So you guys have been great. We have been the Hate Bit Podcast. Thank you for joining us once again. We hope you're enjoying season 2. See ya!
Au revoir.
Hate Bit Podcast.